Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mysteries of the World Marathon on the Daily What Ifs. If you're just now tuning in to Visual Disturbance, welcome. Hit that like button, share this thing out. Welcome to the first marathon of the Daily What Ifs. Let's get it. Welcome everybody to the first live broadcast of 2025 here on the Visual Disturbance channel. I cannot believe it's been a long time since I've been live here on this channel. So big shout out to everybody here that is attending with me this evening on this beautiful cold and wintry mix of ice and glaciers and etc. going on. But with that being said, here we are on Visual Disturbance channel. We're going to be presenting new content, a new series, as you can see here on the screen, Daily What Ifs, the Temple of the Unknown. We're going to go to a place today. We're going to talk about a particular place that has been on my radar for a long period of time, and I'm going to tell you my spin on it after I get to the bones of the whole background of this ancient site. We're going to talk about it and really comprehend the reality of the last, let's just say, thousands and thousands of years and what have you, in centuries that have passed. There's a lot of things that has slipped through the cracks that has not been reported in modern times. So with that being said, I will make a disclaimer here. There's stuff on this program when we're going to be talking about the daily what ifs. I'm going to do a speculation kind of theory on what I think. What if, hypothetical, if there was something else, whatever I do as far as presenting and presentation stance, we're going to do a site or a particular topic, and then we're going to spin it and say, hey, what is going on with this? Is there a what if moment? Is there something we could reach? Is it too far to reach in this direction or that direction? So with that being said, I will not change. If you have watched any of my programs and anything in the last, couple years, I will not change my core beliefs on it coming to spiritual applications and whatnot. But on this series, we're going to be talking about controversial topics and just the what if factor. So let's get into it. Check this place out. This is an ancient site from a long time ago. A lot of people know about it in the realm of, let's just say, India. And let's just show it real quick, and we'll show it here on the screen. So what you're looking at here, folks, is a site that is so baffling to me, and to marvel after it is not even, it's unbelievable, eye-appealing what they've done to this. This would categorize as a place that mankind could not replicate today. And if you've been watching me for a long period of time here on the Visual Disturbance, you all know that I love the Google Earth imagery and showing all the Google Earth ancient sites, etc. So I hope you all are enjoying this. So this Kalasa, I'm pronouncing the best I can, Kalasa Temple in India. So what I found out was very compelling about this site is when you look at it just from an aerial view, there's all kinds of speculation, conspiracies out there, people talking about it looking like a man from above, some people saying it looks like an X from above. So I'll give you my take on it. When I look at this and I go down to the street view, let's go on top of up on the hill here and look down upon this great temple that's been cut out of rock. So when you see this on the screen here and you're thinking to yourself, how did humankind or mankind present this or even do anything this spectacular? Because today's world, we can't even build a porta potty or a let's just say a 1,400 square foot home without it falling down in 2 years, without it having to have a bunch of maintenance. It gets insane. So what we have here is an archaeology endeavor that's off the chain, right? When it comes to, let's just say, my Kentucky slang, right? So I want to throw this out here before we get into it. So when you look at this and observe, did everybody know that this has been cut from the top down? So the people in the know, archaeologists have said, that's been cut down from the top down. Well, when I think about this site, I'm thinking, how did this endeavor happen, and who come up with this? Like, what is this? And so let's get some background information on this particular site. So not only do we have, let's just say, technology that has been far suppressed in our society as far as the 2025 narrative, but we have this colossal temple here that is known as the Cave 16. So it's part of the Ellora caves, which are part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a unique place, right? It's because it was carved out of a single rock. Single rock! So this massive basalt monolith, this temple is dedicated to Lord Shiva, right? And it replicates the Mount Kailash, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So it's his mythical abode, right? Its structure spans in an area double the size of the Parthenon in Greece and includes a multi-story temple complex with engraving carvings, pillars, statues, and all carved from the top down, right? Top down. Top down. So this was supposedly built in the 8th century. So I don't know. It looks like it. I could see that. I could see it, but can I? I mean, we can't do this today. So how do they do it back in the day? So, the time period on this, if I'm not mistaken, everybody, I think it was during the Rashtrakuta. Forgive me if I'm butchering that. Rashtrakuta dynasty. So this was credited to a king. So this king must have had some kind of spectacular technology. King Christian, I think Christian the First was the one that supposedly built this and constructed this temple. It took an estimated 18 years. 18 years. Can you believe it? 18 years. Look, if we do this today, chisels, pickaxes, pitchforks, whatever type of machinery, if you go to your local Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, it would take an army just to get the first layer of rock off, and we'd probably all be dead. It'd be like 75 years past, and the generations would be like, hey, I'm not cutting through this anymore. We just went through all their DeWalt tools, whatever. We went through millions of dollars worth of tools, and we've had no success. Come on now. So this method of carving was what's so interesting is so you're basically working downwards, which is reverse the typical construction process. So nobody's doing this. Nobody can do it now. It's not even heard of anymore. So this temples are, as far as the archaeology stance, and you have all these details or sculptures, large courtyard, numerous hallways, and smaller shrines. The entire complex was carved from a single rock. So riddle that one. If you go back and look at the Sri Lanka, and you look at all the different things at Sri Lanka, that's been carved in some rock too. So let's just say there's some interesting things when they dedicate to Lord Shiva. They have a lot of interesting stuff when it comes to Hinduism. And I'm going to get into the what if moments here in a little bit, and you're going to think some of the stuff that I come up with. Like I said, it's just from my own self, from my own mind, and we'll get into that and take a deep dive here in a second. So when you think about the monolithic structures of this place, right, and the precision, so that you have all these. Let's show some more imagery here. So the feats of this and this remarkableness of this, for somebody to even pull it off, I don't even know anybody in this day and age. So let's just exit out here. There's some stars on the screen there. You gotta love Google Earth. It always makes me have some issues during the program. It's always like that, but that's okay, because that's what we do here on a live stream. So let's go back and let's look at the complexity of the actual art of let me see here. Let me see if I can zoom in and get a better picture for you guys. So yeah, you can see all the different structures and all the different statues is embedded, and you can even see some of the paint on the window sills. Some of this paint has not even been I mean, all the years the sun has been erosion, rainwater, everything, tornadoes, whatever's going on, right? I don't even know if there's been tornadoes down there, but my point is, what is going on, and how can you cut this from the top down? And I want to bring up this obelisk. So the obelisk is here, and there's these elephant structures everywhere. And yes, I see the destruction. According to the record, I think not too long or something, I think it was several years later, there was deemed to try to destroy it or something to that level. There was some type of war or something going on back in the day. I don't have the information, but I do remember there was something that the king had to be told to go ahead and destroy some of the stuff, but I can't verify that right now, but that's okay. So if you go to the base of the structure of the foundations, and when you got to love this Google Earth, it'll about drive you crazy. When you go to the let's go to the main base here. I'm trying to find a different, okay, here we go. So these notches, right? So there's these little circle holes throughout the whole, like, well, all throughout this whole structure. And some of them have them where you take your hands and you can actually put your hands in and grip them. And they're all at the very base, basically the slab of the construction site, right? So it made me wonder, I'm thinking, where does these notches come from? And what, it almost looks like there's been something, and especially there was like the temple where the main temple hall is for the worship stance. They had these notches. It's almost like they had to tie a rope or something to something, right? And we can only speculate, but we're going to get into a little bit. So when you look at this and you think about, how did he have this, how is this site, the temple, like this temple here, when it comes to conspiracy theories, everybody's talking about this site, right? A lot of people talk about it in a way that it's, alien involvement. But before we get into the what if factor, I will say this, everybody. When you look at this site and you observe it from an aerial view, from the baseline view of the, just sitting at the foundation, 3D printing all day long. I see 3D printing concept, especially how advanced technology today. You can get a decent 3D printer for a couple of grand and you can actually, print off stuff and create things, right? But how do you take something in nature and you cut down so precise, right? And it's not no joke when you, look at the scale of these people standing and you look up and you're just, like I said earlier, you're marveling after it. It's like, what could mankind do? How did man do this? And a lot of people, we're going to get to the theories and the conspiracies behind it and whatnot, and what they've proposed could be something that with weight that they could come up with, that they're speculating. But I'm going to put my 2 cents here in a second. So when you look at the complexity of it, you look at the structure, it's phenomenal. I don't even know how you could articulate it in your mind on an architect scale. Like, you have the blueprint in front of you, you're going to initiate, you have a bunch of materials. That's not the case here. You don't have your 2x4s, you don't have anything. This is cut out of rock. This is going to survive forever. Okay? It's going to hold up for another 1,000 years probably. There'll probably be very little bit of a damage done to the structure in due time. We'll see, but we won't see in 1,000 years, but somebody will. So let's just go and click on some more imagery here, because I want to verify and show you one more thing that is just so interesting to me. So you guys know that I love to look at ley lines, and a lot of people that are new to this channel, they're like, Brian, what's a sacred ley line? What is a ley line? Well, when you look at ley lines, they're tied to megalithic structures, energy sources from ancient times, and they have these different ley lines have different energy sources. So I went to look for that, and when I came to, I was like, well, here we go. If you have all heard me talk about ley lines in the past. So at this temple here, you can zoom out. Here in a second, it'll show you. So there's a ley line here. Here's the temple here. So I can show you in miles how far away it is. It's about 47 miles away, and there's another one in the opposite direction. But when you look at this, I've studied some of the sacred ley lines where, you know, anywhere from I think it was 30 to 100 miles out in circumference, these ancient sites would have a magnetic field about them, or some type of, you know, radiation or signature, not radiation, but some type of signature that could be picked up, right? And then the claim is the ley lines are affecting these megalithic structures. So when you look at what's going on here in India, do they have something here that has, you know, from the Hindus, when we think about the Lakas and the Talas, right? You've heard me talk about the FBI, the three-letter agency. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying that. But the three-letter agency that had the flying roll, right? They talk about the UFOs and whatnot, and talking about the people that want to live here, right? Want to, they're flying around these autonomous vehicles. So one would say, in a conspiracy stance, when we look at this and we think about fallen angel technology. So how could this ancient site have anything to do with fallen angel technology? Well, let's dive into that. So we have this colossal temple. So when we look at the components of technology in the 8th century, and you're thinking, okay, so we can't argue about, like, did they have primitive weapons or primitive tools or primitive everything, but this is a feat in itself. So how did they do from the top down carving? So basically what there's, the so-called ufologists and the scholars of, the archaeologists are saying that there's an extraterrestrial concept. Okay. And I'm going to get to that what if moment, the daily what if. When you look at the extraterrestrial technology and you look at the structure, it can't be done, right? So I thought about it, and for them to even be able to remove the rock formations, right? To be able to cultivate, dig, there had to been something done. Had to been, right? For somebody to be able to pull this off is unbelievable. Let's go on the top here. Let's go on the very top and see what we got. Well, it's going to put me down at the bottom. But for somebody to pull this off is unbelievable. So speaking of, if there's extraterrestrial, which I would say here on this channel, like I said, I have core beliefs that I will not divert from, and I will say here on this channel, right here on this daily view of what I'm presenting here today in this daily what ifs, fallen angel technology. We have angelic powers, principalities. When you look into the biblical narrative, that's what we're experiencing here. But there's also other things that we're experiencing here. So there's this other spin that when on an ancient advanced technology, when they looked at this, when they looked and observed, people are saying that this king, he possibly had some type of technology. So what if, this King Christian the First, what if he had something that is ancient? So there's this weapon, or there's this, I think it's Brahmastra. I think it's how you pronounce it, Brahmastra. Say that 14 times in a row. It's a mythical weapon or a tool. This Brahmastra was a supernatural capabilities for carving the rock. So this theory is also often discussed as a context of other global ancient mysteries, and I would have to agree with that. But this one is one that's been on my radar to say, hey, I'm going to do a program on it. So the very first what if, here we are. So this Brahmastra, it makes me think of Vimana, the Vimanas, the Oriphanas, the Ephas that floated in the sky, these autonomous vehicles. So we're going to get into the what if moments here in a second. So, but also conspiracy theorists are saying, they argue with like traditions and methods, like traditional methods of using the stone debris, and they can't. It's all speculation on that point about how did they get the rock removal, how did they get the disposal of the rock, and all these different things. So it would take a massive excavation, all right? I will say this, and I will tell you right now, I know from looking at Indian mounds and what endeavor it took in the 1900s, the 1800s, just recently here in my local area in 2022, they just excavated and completely demolished a Indian mound to put a slab and a foundation for a residential area. But hello, the locals don't know anything about that. Shh, don't say nothing. That's, Brian, you can't talk about that. That's bad. We don't want to talk about ancient structures. Yeah, that's where we are. So when you look at this, and I think about what if this king Christian, I think it's how you pronounce it. What if he had the just like the Olmecs had, they had some type of flying crafts, so they could hover over this site, rock shelter, rock slab of rock, and boom, cut it out like lasers, right? So speaking of lasers, what do you think about the so-called disclosure, right? We have the drones in the sky of New Jersey and all over the earth, and Brazil, to every which way you've ever seen. They say it's propulsion, anti-gravity systems. Well, could it be this technology here that's in India? It's a what if moment. That's my first what if. What if these ancient things that are hovering above us, what if there's some type of ancient technology that is being revamped, so to speak, and recycled, and here we are in 2025 and 2024. We started seeing that just last month of an insanity over our nation, right, and over all the other countries, and it makes you wonder what it actually is going on. And we're going to speculate and talk about what I come up with in my mind here in a little bit before I move on with the backstory of this site. So when you look at the culture and the religious implications, they're saying that there's conspiracy narratives. Also, there's cultural and religious aspects suggesting that such structures were built to harness spiritual or cosmic energies, perhaps of guidance from the celestial beings through divine intervention. So here's the what if moment. So what if? Okay. So we have this what if moment here, and what if let's go to a different area here of this site, and I'm going to tell you what I think. So if anybody has watched any of my programs, we've talked about remote viewing, there's one thing I've not talked about, an institution that is involved with the remote viewing, but it's Project Stargate, right? All these different applications. Well, it dawned on me the other day when I was preparing for this program here, and I thought about it, because you can see these elephants on these foundations, right? The elephants was carved down, and it's holding up tons and tons of rock, right? So I looked at it, and I in my what if moment to present to you guys. And I hope everybody's enjoying this, because I sure am. It's been a long time since I've been live, so I'm like super thrilled. A little rusty, dusting the dirt and the dust off my shoulders. But here we are, and I thank you all for attending with me this evening on this Tuesday on this ice block. If anybody's got a Vimana out there, or any kind of lasers, maybe you can cut out a not a stone structure, maybe a structure of snow, with all this snow that's on the ground and ice. There's a little fun plug in. I'm praying for everybody out there. The insanity of our weather is unreal with the ice. Unbelievable. Let's move on. So I thought about this when we talk about spiritual applications, the cosmic energies. So there is people that have been on the ground, boots on the ground, and have talked to the natives, and they talk about that there was these ancient people, I would say like the monks or the shamans, the Hindus, right? They had these abilities. The Tibetan monks talk about harmonics and different things and chanting and all this stuff that I will never dabble in. But for the sake of this program here on this broadcast, I thought about it for a moment. What if you had ancient technology? You use the human, which you would use in the other remote viewing projects. And there's another one out there. It's called, it starts with the M, but it ends with the Ultra, and the Project Stargate and everything. So what if, here's a what if moment. What if there is some weight to this concept, what has been proposed here on the table here with these individuals that built this place? What if they sat there in their temple and did something to access something based off their thoughts? Well, hang on for a minute. Let me think. Let me slow. Like I said earlier, I will not differentiate from my core beliefs, but I will say, if you do something to alter something, you'll get a different result. So I thought about it. I thought about, dreams, visions, and, articulating with what they have said that they used to once have in the ancient antediluvian world. Harmonics, they use sound frequencies, and this has been proven, right? But I promise you, I'm not getting into New Age ideology. I don't get into that at all. But what if a what if moment that these individuals are sitting there and they was able to cut down from the bottom using their thoughts and their minds. Okay, so here's what they're getting into when you get into modern time. They're talking about astral projection, remote viewing, which I will not be partaking in. But if you look at the whole principle with the AI and the information with technology and how it's advancing, this could be something feasible, what they've done in the past, and now it's being reoccurring because there's nothing new under the sun. And if you've watched anything on the Visual Disturbance channel, when you look at the biblical narrative, there's nothing new under the sun. So I thought about it. A what if moment, a hypothetical individual sitting there doing some kind of chanting or whatever, use their mind, because on this site, a lot of the locals will say they was in tune to the ground and to the earth and all these different things. What if they was able to use their thoughts, their minds with technological advancements, and then voila, here's the product. Here's the product. Because if you look at it, it's not. You see how everything is so syncretic, and everything is like you have a statue here, right? And it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you have it looks all sporadic, right? It has the foundation. It's all like in synchronization, but then there's like these little different pictures, like. Who would have took the time to sit there and carved everything out? So I was sitting there thinking, we do this now on a smaller scale when we think about imagery. We render, we draw, right? We take a piece of paper, pencil, and you draw on and you articulate what your mind is telling you. I'm trying to say that whoever this was that built this site, whoever these individual was, they could do stuff that was. I'm saying what I'm proposing. I'm not trying to discredit. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody or cut down any culture, but they had to have had help on the outside force, celestial, terrestrial, whatever. And, you've heard me talk about the Nunahi. You've heard me talk about things that are local here in the America area, right? The Nunahi had a big presence here in America. What if the Nunahi could live anywhere? What if it's a spiritual application where they become Gilbareems, the mighty men of old? They alter their altered state, to be able to build some kind of marvel, this astonishing temple that still stands to this day. What if it's something so diabolical, and people will be like, well, Brian, you're probably reaching. Well, look at what they're doing with different, neuro, what, and the different applications with the technology. Look how much far it's advanced in the last few years. I will not be participating in this, but when you look at the whole concept of astro projection, which I don't even want to be dabbling in that. But when you look at the whole thing with quantum entanglement, quantum physics, quantum computers, this is what they're saying quantum computers can do. Quantum computers can change the molecular structure of the ground and different things. There was I've done a program not too long ago whenever we was talking about I think it was water and different things, different applications. Like 2 years ago, I was on another platform and talking about how these things was projected and altered, but it was used. There was other things and other applications that was blended in to for mankind to be able to prosper and present it in some shape or form. And then a lot of people on here would probably, well, Brian, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, I'm just saying the what if moment, like I said, alluded to at the beginning of the program, a what if moment, and just share my thoughts. And I still got quite a few more. So what if there's like 1% of what I said possibly might be hold weight to this narrative? Who knows? What if? But when you look at this and you think about the structure and think about how it's all tied down, it's all like intricately laid out. Well, the thought I had too when I seen this information and seen somebody else talking about it, what if those notches that I talked about earlier, because there was a gentleman I just seen recently that was here, and he kept saying, it looks like they was trying to tie something down. And I kept thinking, okay, what if they had to tie them down because there was something to a state of inviting these, you know, ancient, let's just say the aliens, the fallen angels. What if there's something correlating to that they was literally calling down forces using some type of way to access the ether, right? And they was using energies that they shouldn't have been dabbling in, and they built this huge temple. It's a what if moment. And like I said, well, I didn't mention this earlier, this is for entertainment purposes only for this one on what if moment. I got to make sure I put that in there. But what if there was some type of ancient star-like people, what they would call it in the Hopi prophecy? What if they did the same thing in India? A what if moment. And, you know, with Lord Shiva and this basalt monolith, what if that there is some kind of correlation with the ancient knowledge that these people once had, that they could use their minds to articulate stone structures and stuff? Because that's why I was mentioning earlier, because who would be able to come up with and show these elephants and show it? Almost looks like somebody come up with this and was an artist, but it was like able to project it and create it just using not primitive tools of chisels and nails and scraping with your fingers. Because I can promise you, just by looking at this, it would take 20, 30, 40 feet. I mean, a truck ton of people, army loads of people to pull this endeavor off. So when we look at this and you think about all the strange anomalies that go on here, and it's a tourist attraction. A lot of people love this place. It's an ancient tourist attraction that, you know, that still to this day people are using. So, or, you know, going, it's a big attraction. So let's back out and go to the actual aerial view of this site here. We'll go a little bit further out from just the temple alone. You can see just the size of it, and I'll give you the dimensions on it. But I wanted to point something out. Yeah, we're getting ready to go do a 720 here on the screen. Sorry about that. But when you look at let's look at how many feet the pure size of this place is. So, you know, I'm a little rough around the edges here, but almost 150 feet in the width, okay? And let's see about the length. Let's just see what the length is. Let's just go from the asphalt here. Well, let's go to the front. Let's do that. So about 294 feet, okay? Well, I will say this. We have the Ellora cave systems here. There's all these cave systems, and if you look at all these new, more modern structures, if you look, you see the tourist attraction here. And if you've been following my work here on Visual Disturbance, you'll know when I talk about, you know, tuning forks and different things and stadium seating, and it almost looks like Wi-Fi frequency. It almost does. Hello. It makes you wonder. So you have this tourist information center, and it's almost like they couldn't build it straight. They had to kind of make it go to an angle, and it almost points right to the temple. It actually does. So they couldn't make it straight. They had to put it at a little bit of an angle here, and it's almost like this looks similar to me than this does here. It looks like a larger scale of this structure. But when I'm looking at it in the what if moment, and I don't know why they had to not make it go straight, but sure enough, this little walkway or whatever goes on here, I don't even know nothing about this. I don't even know what this is, but it's some type of walkway. It almost points straight to it. It actually, well, it pretty much does. So what is going on here? Is there some type of, like, you know, here we go with the mountain ranges and all these cave systems. Did they know something? Was they communicating with the orbs that are going on in the sky today that are shooting lasers? You know, did y'all see the news where they're shooting drones, and the drones have lasers, or excuse me, the orbs have lasers, and they're shooting the drones out of the sky? Could we have laser propulsion, advanced technology from a breakaway civilization that cut this place out here in India? And I don't, who knows, right? Who knows? It's a what if moment. A what if moment. And real quick here. So when you're thinking about this colossal temple, what's your all's thoughts on it? And I would like to hear them and comment below, and then I might take 2 or 3 questions here in a little bit on the chat. But is it reaching? Is it a what if moment, Brian? What is it? And could there be some type of extraterrestrial, let's just say fallen angel, and could we be communicating with entities just like they are in CERN and these other megalithic sites as we speak? Is this what the Pope is doing when he's opening up these sacred 5 portals? Was he coming up and doing something like this? And is this what's going on? Does he have the ability to do what the Tibetan monks, all these ancient monks and shamans have done in the past, which I will say, I'm pretty sure that I think the Vatican has a truck ton of information, scrolls, everything. There's like 80 miles worth of data still underneath the Vatican, supposedly. So you don't think the Vatican and all the popes of old have this ancient knowledge of what happened? I bet you they do. I bet you they have this particular place on backup as far as, scrolls and whatnot. So let's get in here real quick. I'm going to show some more, let's go to the very front of it and see, kind of get a better visual of it. And this is the front when you're coming off to the walkway. In this temple, man, there's just nothing else to say. Whoever built this, if they used their mind or whatever, 3D printed from starships and destroyer ships, whatever, fallen angel technology, whatever it is, I'm not knocking down on the culture at all, nor am I putting down on India in general. I'm not. I'm just saying, for the sake of this video, the what if factor, the what ifs, there's something here that really is significant to our past, and did they use ancient knowledge, which is sometimes, let's just say, the Tower of Babel. They use ancient knowledge to build such a endeavor. Who knows? So with that being said, I think that's all I'm going to say about this particular site. I'm going to talk a few more moments about a couple more what if moments, just to kind of come to a conclusion here. But I am going to be I will take some questions here in a little bit. Sorry, I had a little distracted trying to keep the stream going. I had a little issue. That's okay though. I want to throw us out here real quick, so come to kind of a conclusion. So if you remember, this is what I was saying earlier. I got sidetracked. What I was saying earlier about, we did a program a couple years ago talking about the Tibetan monks, and the Tibetan monks had abilities to like use sound and frequency, and they had this way to vibrate their body into some shape or form with chanting and whatever. And what I come to conclusion with is they did some kind of thing, comparison or whatnot, saying like, hey, quantum computing and what the Tibetan monks did back in the day are like one and the same. Like the quantum computers could do something similar to what the Tibetan monks was doing. And I thought that was very interesting, because you're talking, the quantum entanglement and the quantum physics are coming around the corner. Literally, we have quantum computers in our face of the earth right now that is well known. There's several quantum computers out there. And I just wonder if they was able to build these antediluvian structures with sound and frequency, and without having to use primitive tools, welding a pickaxe or sword or whatever. Sword. Did I say sword? Yeah, I sure did. But when you think about this and you really ponder on how this was done, and big shout out to the people that have taken care of this facility, the Indian culture. God bless them people for taking care of this place. I mean, it has to be probably no telling how much it takes to keep this facility going. And I guess they use that tourist attraction money to keep everything going. I don't blame them, but it's an interesting site to say the least. With that being said, I'm going to come to conclusion on this one. I want to thank everybody. So we have 138 viewers. I had quite a few people in here a little bit ago. I wanted to apologize. I haven't been live for a long time. Let's pop the chat. I'm going to pop the chat in here. Actually, on the let's pop the chat. See if I can do that real quick. Yeah, get to pop the chat on this that's really cool. So there you go, everybody. I'm going to take some questions here. If you got a couple questions for me here on the Visual Disturbance, if you get an opportunity, share this thing out and like it. I'm gonna start doing these daily I'm gonna try to do them daily. I'm gonna try to do daily what ifs. And if you like the concept, like the content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this thing out. I really do appreciate it. It helps with the algorithm, helps out in visual disturbance world. So if you like it, and tell me and comment below if you like the daily what ifs, because I want to engage more with you guys and bring a place up that I think that strikes my interest, and we'll talk about it in a way about, like I said earlier, about spinning it, a what if moment, and what ifs, the temple of the unknown. So is there any questions before I get off here today? I really appreciate it. Let's see, this is created with sound technology explaining as their own historical text. That is correct. Yes. Yeah, I kind of touched base on that a little bit, just a smidge earlier, but yes, I agree with that. That is written down in the historical text of this particular site that they did use sound technology. So, but the thing is, how did they do it? Like I said earlier, I think when you look at what I presented in the past about blurring the lines, you won't be able to tell, what AI is, what human is, what a hologram is, and that's what they're coming up with when you talk about, when you're looking at all these different things and applications that are coming with ChatGPT, etc. You're not gonna be able to understand. Like, it's gonna be hard to be able to tell. So interesting, just to point out the plasmoids, right? The plasmoids that are coming into news, and a lot of people are talking about the plasmoids. Plasmoids remind me of a humanoid, character or profiled as a humanoid, or the orbs, etc. And that's why I mentioned the Nunahi earlier. So it's just very interesting to say and to come up with that this stuff cannot just be a coincidence. When you look at what's coming down right now, like right here, we're just a few days into January of 2025, and look at the advanced technology that's coming upon us. They're everything to do with graphics cards, stuff that you use for a PC. You can get it at a low rate right now. You can get stuff, everything, technology is getting smaller. It's getting more powerful. So this site here in India, who or what or who of human involvement. I think there's human involvement. I think there's angelic involvement. I think there's even the mixed stance on it. I think both categories are, both groups are involved in this particular site here. It's very compelling so the Kailasa temple, it's a what if moment. Like, what if it is setting, what's underneath it? There's all these caves. What if there's archaeology down there, stuff that archaeology would be like a powder keg for information? What if there's something down there that is not accessible to just for the average Joe, right? And what if there's something above the sky? We've talked about it here. We talked about Skinwalker Ranch. They talk about there's stuff above the sky. There's these mesa that they have there at Skinwalker. They have all these different things that are these anomalies. Is there an anomaly here? If anybody's ever been to this particular site in India, please comment below. Please comment and see if you've had any kind of magnetic interference, if your phone went crazy, if there's something went on, if you was filming or whatever and you had all kinds of tech issues. I wonder if there's something into that world. Who knows? But it makes you wonder. And I would say too, if you took a compass, I don't even know if this chat is even working right now, but that's okay. But when you take a compass and you have magnetic readings and magnetic fields from these Indian mounds from my local area, I wonder what this place does. I wonder if it's off the charts, right? But out of respect for the Indian culture too, if we try to do this today in America, with all the assets, with all the information, with all the money that we could ever throw at it, every resource, if we dug up every bit of, I don't care what it is, phosphorus, asphalt, whatever it is, salt, all kinds of ore there in the ground, we could never pull off what they did here at this site. Never. And the what if, it would take, I would love to see what and how much money in gold and silver it would take to build and replicate this particular site for it to be able to build and carve from up to the down. There's nothing in my mind tells me that this can be achieved today. Nothing. But in about 10 years, the way things are going with AI components and these applications, I think it's very not to, I don't like to predict anything, but it's probably easy to say and to come to that conclusion that there probably will be able to use 3D printers in a way. Heck, they're using 3D printers to build houses. But if you use lasers and sound, what can you get with that? Like, what could you do with that? So, anyways, there I was rambling. I didn't even check the questions. Sometimes I hear high frequency sound when yes. I've been hearing a lot of people speculate online that you are the chosen ones. I'm kind of being a little sarcastic here, but that's what they say. If you're hearing ringing in the ears, you are one of the chosen ones. And I'm not saying that I agree with that, but I have seen that. And I think it's interesting that people come up with those theories and those conclusions. It makes me wonder what's really going on. Okay, I'm just sitting there checking I'm sitting there double checking the chat here, so forgive me for the delay there. Yeah, it's better not to dig up. Evil stay buried. That's exactly right. Mama Cat. Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yeah. Unfortunately, these sites have been secluded, suppressed. But in India, let's just say we have Hinduism. We have stuff that would be exactly what's in the backyard here at this site in India. We would have that in Kentucky. I've seen it. I have looked. I have studied some of the artifacts. So how do you find culture? How do you find stuff that's dated, older than this site, that are here in Kentucky? It's because this place is not what it seems, and the historical, and when it comes to history, it's been fabricated. There's a lot of fabrication. There's gaps when it comes to archaeology, and historical documents in some shape or form have been defragmented. But like I said, I hold to core beliefs. There's one thing that I will ever say that's been fabricated is when you look into biblical information, biblical stuff. We can go into an argument all day, or we can get into theories or whatnot and different topics. There's a certain term out there. It starts with the M that I will not bring up in this program. But when we stay true to biblical stance and understand, and you go back to a reference, these are reference points, right? You can go into different texts and different things, just like at this site in the Indian culture, these historical documents. But there's things that the Bible says that talk about that comes out of the sky. You talk about Ezekiel wheel. We're talking about the orbs, talking about these different things, different applications that men has seen, right? And they wrote it down. They documented it. And it's interesting to me that when we get into the Gilbarim, the giants, and the Genesis 6 narrative, it all correlates. It all is like if you look at a megalithic structure, you look at a ley line, you look at everything is like there's similarities when you come into all the information. It's almost like information overload, And I think this site here, and I think this is, I think I'll stop rambling on. I wanted to just tell everybody the what if here on Visual Disturbance channel. I hope everybody I hope you like this. I hope you like this format. I hope you like. I'm still going to be doing the news not for everybody. I haven't done it in a long time. But here we are. We're going to be doing daily what ifs, and I hope everybody enjoys the whole concept and the vision here that I'm trying to present and on the content here. We got TX Haas. Brian, do you think the people of the Tartarian Empire had the ancient technology? Well, since you asked that, let's just get into it. So here's where I'm at. Nikola Tesla knew all this stuff that was going on. He had all this information, preconceived knowledge. And then you had the men back in the 40s said that there was going to be a man named Elon that was going to conquer Mars. Well, how do you have preconceived knowledge? So I have this theory on a what if moment. Why not? What if, when you look at the shamans and you look at all this information, they're digging deep into esoteric understanding, all this stuff that's occultic. They're having, like when you look at Aleister Crowley, and he's talking to the alien, the demon, right? And they're summoning the demon, they're summoning things, and then they're getting information. But when that information gets given to them, either in a physical sense, you have this expansion of human consciousness, and then the man takes that knowledge and puts his own spin on it, right? So what you're saying here, TX Haas, when you're talking about the Tartarian Empire, the resets, could it be, this is where we get into, because me and David Carrico have done programs talking about mud floods. They've talked about the Cabbage Patch Kids on the Midnight Ride. When you look at these resets and you see that there's displaced people, what if it's something to do, and if you look at the dates back in the 1900s, when they was doing these ultra programs and using neurons and trying to get to expand through individuals, if you go back and look at all that, there was trying to, let's just say, get into that telekinesis, remote viewing, etc. And then when you get down to it, it expands. And there's technology that comes from those tests. I mean, if you think about it, there's information that's being transferred, and then all of a sudden computers advance. And I think that's just, it's so much that I don't have all the answers. But when you look at that and you really just kind of dumb it down to that level and say, okay, so we're communicating with stuff that we shouldn't be reaching into, and mankind was built for a purpose, but not the purpose to expand so to the point to where he wants to become immortal in a different way. And then because if you look through all the historical documents and you look through different civilizations that rise and fall, that fail, it's because of look at what they was doing. And they're always communicating. Think about it. They're always trying to advance to a level, and then they get to a certain level, and boom, here comes destruction. Because of the state of the man, the state of the mankind at the moment, there'll be all this evil going on, right? And they can't differentiate what is what and who is who. And there's all this they're dividing, it's divide and conquer. But then, like I said, there's an angelic property, there's an angelic application that is being integrated into our society, and that's how they're going to do it, through holographic and different applications. So when you get to the Tartarian Empire and you look at all the different the pictures, and there's like steel frames, say, hey, where's all the people at in these cities? Well, just think about it today, everybody. They're building cities. There's cities in other countries that are completely evacuated. They're not even, nobody's ever they're not even been inhabited. So there's these advanced cities, like all these beautiful homes and beautiful, skyscrapers in different countries just sitting there with nobody to inhabit them. So you have to look at the whole concept. You have to look at the whole concept. Yeah, the little clapping in the background. Somebody, thanks for subscribing to the channel here. But you have to look at it. You have to look at it like that. So they had the cathedrals and all these different things, and the Vatican came in. The Vatican came in and stole. Excuse me. Excuse me. They didn't. Excuse me. I got choked there. Forgive me. They came in. I can't say that word, but they came in and they done some stuff that they removed things and then set up shop, right? And these cathio, these different frequencies, it's all throughout the Tartarian Empire. They use things for healing properties, and my goodness, when you look into the megahertz and all this, it gets insane. And then you get into the bells and etc. But not to go long-winded on that answer, I think this is exactly because we're communicating with the ether, right? They're communicating with spiritual applications, which you shouldn't be dabbling in. I'm saying it. They shouldn't be, and that's why we have these structures that have been throughout history, and then we have all these men and women that have IQs of like way out there in the education level and the stat sheet to do anything on archaeology, and they come down to the conclusion, oh well, I don't know, it must be ancient. It must be ancient aliens or ancient extraterrestrials. It must be our star friends that built these facilities. I can't do it. That's what they'll say. Well, yeah, it's all like they play off of that. It's really strange. It makes one would wonder what's really going on, because not look, man does not have all the answers. But I will say, not to desecrate this site here, I would say there's some type of ancient knowledge that was passed down, and we're talking about fallen angel narratives that would be able to communicate in some shape or form to be able to pull this off on the what ifs of the daily what ifs here at this temple site in India. And it's just interesting to me. We'll see. It's just interesting to me that we can't. Could they be? Here's Johnny Kirk. Could they be pre-flood and elves and dwarves built this stuff? This seems to be pretty good shoe collars. Yeah. So, the elves and stuff. What's interesting? So, when you go and look at the elves and you look at all the dwarfs and the different things when it comes to Lord of the Rings, etc., and all these movies that they defragment our brains so much. But you go out in different cultures, you go out in different countries, you go up toward Canada and Greenland and Iceland, you'll find little mounds where little people was buried. I guess that's all figurative language too. When you find archaeology evidence and then the academic comes by and swoops it up and say, yeah, it didn't exist, there's nothing to it. And yeah. And the doctor said, yeah, there's a certain term he said, yeah, I agree with that. I'm hearing you. The doctor said, let's just say, certain thing they take, the tooken, some certain thing that they consumed and was able to astral project and whatnot and do some interesting stuff with. But that's really creepy to me. That's really creepy to me for sure. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just triple checking real quick and trying to read as fast as I can. My vision permitting, if I can get it, if you could do capitalized letters, I really appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. But yeah, anyways, I just want to thank you all for being here. I might take one more question here, wrap it up here around the 1 hour mark. But I hope y'all are enjoying these. I'm gonna try to do a day. I'm not gonna. I don't know if I can or not, but I'm gonna try to do a daily live, and it might not go as long as this one, but this was the daily what ifs, and we're gonna go down some what if rabbit holes here in the near future on the next one, especially. We're gonna go down into the let's just say Twilight Zone concept. But I hope everybody's enjoyed this one. I really do. I hope everybody, and I thank you all for being here. I'm gonna kind of wrap everything up. Okay, I was sitting there looking. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read. Oh, real quick, this is not to bring. I'm gonna bring this up for the next one, but we're gonna be talking about magic on the next one on the daily what ifs, and I want to really, and I'm gonna kind of piggyback off this program, talk about what we discussed with the shamans and the ancient, let's just say, men that could heighten their state of consciousness. We're gonna be talking about different things that'll make your skin crawl when it comes into the magic concept. So anyways, with that being said, thank you all for being here. Thank you for subscribing to the Visual Disturbance channel. It really does help. I'm a little rusty. I will say I'm a little rusty. I haven't been live for a long time and been solo for a minute. It's been a long time. I think I've been live was in November, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't want to go on a big old rant for too long, but I wanted to say thank you all for everybody for attending with me this evening here, and share this thing out. And I appreciate everybody's support and being here with me. And thanks for thanks for all the donations. Thank you all for so much for being supported here at the Visual Disturbance. I really truly mean that. It's just nice to know that that I have such a good people come in the chat and are so kind. I really am just thankful for that, and your all's time your all's time means something to me. And I thank you all for just always coming on here. And even if it's a random live or whatnot, there's a lot of people that just show up, and I really appreciate the love and support. Words can't describe how I feel about that. I thank you all for being here since the beginning. There's a lot of people, a lot of regulars here that I've gotten to know, and people that I can put a name to a face when it comes to screen names. So, sorry I'm a little rusty, but hopefully on the next one, I'll catch you on the next daily what ifs. And until next time, Visual Disturbance, I'm out of here. But yeah, I'm getting distracted by the chat. Thank you all for the kind words in the chat. Thank you all for being attentive with me tonight. But I think I'm going to call it quits on this. We're at the hour mark. I think I'm going to call it quits. I don't want to ramble on too much. But the daily what ifs, the temple of the unknown here, kind of come down to the conclusion here. If you're just now tuning in, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and the Colossal Temple here in India. What an endeavor, and my hat goes off to whatever and whoever created it, because it cannot be replicated today in 2025. Maybe in 2026 when AI becomes sentient and was able to walk around with its 3D printer and its laser plasma rifle, maybe it'll be able to chisel into the ground and create something. I'll tell you what, real quick, and I'll throw some fun in plugins here. What if there is a application in the future where you can actually laser down from the top down and build you a structure for a residence, which I would love for a laser. If I had a 3D printer that could cut down into some granite or rock and cut me out a 3D printed house that could survive a snow cataclysm, a storm cataclysm, a tornado F5, or a volcano or an earthquake. I would love to see if I could come up with something like this in a modern day American style, not a temple, but a place to live in. So, but anyways, with that being said, thank you all so much for everything and for being here. Everybody's being so kind. Big shout out to everybody for all that you do, for supporting me and sharing this thing out. Thank you all so much. Snell's World, Brian, I saw a large UAP. It sounded like a C-17. There was clicking noise on video playback. Oh my goodness! I was trying to end the show, and you got me. You got my attention on that. You heard a clicking noise on the video playback. That is not even, man. How scary is that? So it sounded like a C-17. There was a clicking noise on the video playback. Oh man, I could comment on that all night and talk about it, but for the sake of time. And I don't want to, I'll try to write that down, and we can talk about that on the next daily what ifs. I will make sure that I comment. I will take a screenshot of that picture, and I will bring that back up on the next one. So next time I will add you in as the first question, and I will put that in there on the question and answers toward the end. So daily what ifs, the temple of the unknown. Thank you all for being here. I'm going along on the conclusion and to come down to the end of this video, but thank you all so very much. Keep your head on a swivel. Remember, you was born for a purpose. God has got you here for a reason. Don't let this world reflect your mood and cause you to lose your joy because of all the nonsense that's going on in the world. 2025 is still going to be a good year. We just got to look through all the drama and the nonsense. Be of good cheer. Daily what ifs. Visual Disturbance, I'm out of here. I'll see you on the next daily what ifs. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment below, just in the description. I mean, yeah, all that good stuff. I'm getting tongue-tied. Y'all be blessed. Visual Disturbance, I'm out of here on the daily what ifs. See you on the next one.
Got one that can see.
Check, check. Check, check. Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Let's get into it. Well. Welcome back to Visual Disturbance. I'm your host for today, like always. Here we are, the Daily What Ifs, portal in the middle of nowhere. Literally last night, or yesterday afternoon, I did my first Daily What Ifs, and I told everybody that was watching that program, and I said, I'm going to try to do these Daily What Ifs every single day. That's going to be a goal that I'm setting for myself, and especially here on the Visual Disturbance channel. I'm going to try my darndest to hold up to that, and I hope I can make one on a daily basis on a what-if stance. So if I can't, don't hold me to it, but I'm going to try my darndest to at least present one every day, or ever so often, a couple every week. So welcome to the Daily What-Ifs. It's not a News Is Not For Everybody program. It's just a Daily What-Ifs on Visual Disturbance channel. And I want to thank everybody for the big shout out, a lot of support, a lot of love, and I hope everybody liked yesterday's broadcast. I'm kind of enjoying these. I hope everybody likes the whole concept, and I really do hope that it's a blessing to you. So let's just get into it. So it's all about what ifs, right? So as you can see here on the thumbnail of today's program, there's a place that we're going to go to today. I'm going to show some Google Earth imagery. And it's going to be pretty epic. It's going to be pretty fun. It might be a little bit shorter than yesterday, but hey, it's a daily what-if program. So you see me there going like that, looking over at that rock, right? So this Tucson Spiral, a lot of people don't know what the Tucson Spiral is, but maybe some people do. And I think it's a very interesting place, to say the least. In Arizona alone, Arizona has a lot of significant data that I would like to, let's just say I would like to go there, put feet on the ground, so to speak, over in Arizona. So in this Tucson area, right? So you have all these spiral petroglyphs. There's all kinds over there. And you see that imagery, you see it all over the place, all over different continents. And you ask yourself, why is there spirals everywhere? You know, there's a lot of nefarious and devious, evil intentions on certain things when they use the spirals for a lot of other applications. But when it comes to this is coming to a spiritual application, in my opinion. So let's get into it. So the Tucson Spiral, it's a prominent petroglyph found in the Tucson area, specifically as single heel site, right? So this site is in Saguaro National Park in Tucson Mountain District. This petroglyph is characterized by a large and carefully picked out spiral image, which you see on the screen here, which is one of the most photographic and recognizable symbols in the area. But like I said, I've seen it in different areas out in the east, out in different countries. Isn't that interesting? So this spiral, does it have significance with anything to do with a certain people, right? So the spiral is believed to have been created by the Hohokam people. So it's an ancient Native American culture, supposedly around 1,000 to 2,000 years ago. While the exact meaning of the spiral is not definitely known, it is thought to be possible to represent various concepts such as growth, transformation, or circular natural of life. Some interpretations suggest it could be used for practical purposes like tracking astronomical events or marking hunting grounds, which, if you look at the Distonian people, they have marking hunting grounds I've seen very similar to. While others see it as having spiritual or cultural significance, this petroglyph is it's literally, there's imagery all over the place. Okay, so you see in different petroglyphs on the rock formations of like Small people, big people, large people, animals, and geometric shapes, which to me is very compelling. Is when you think about, especially what we did yesterday, we went to India, and people in the Indian culture said, he's talking about shamans and astral projection, different applications like that. But why would the Indians, these Native Americans, these native people back 2,000, 1,000 years ago, these Hohokam people, why would they make symbols everywhere? So, yeah, we can talk about astronomical, which we're going to. And I'm going to go ahead and take us to a place that is that what if moment. The daily what if on Visual Disturbance channel. What if in the Tucson area that this imagery that's on this rock, what if this Tucson Spiral is actually on a larger scale in Tucson? And what if this portal is in the middle of nowhere? So check this out. So here we go into our Google Earth imagery, and I'm going to take you to a place in Tucson where it's literally a Tucson spiral. You're going to see it, zoom in here, and you're going to see this white is just where I drawed it to indicate where it was at to get the longitude, latitude, and the coordinates. But let's look at this area and observe it here. Look at this. And if that's not a spiral, I don't know what is. But this is not a petroglyph. This is actually a landmass that has been engraved in some shape or form. It almost makes me think of different archaeology sites. Heck, it almost makes me think of the Gilgal Raphaim. It makes me think of that out toward the east. Also, it makes me think of Atlantis narrative, Lemura, and it also makes me think of the Eye of the Sahara. And when I think about this and I see all these indentions and lines and I contemplate what was and what if, and yes, I know this is a desert area, I get it, but I wonder about what happened 2,000 years ago if this was a very vibrant area with water source and a place for the Native Americans to prosper, right? So, but if you zoom out, obviously this spiral that's out in the middle of nowhere, is this the ancient Stargate? Is this that what if moment here on Visual Disturbance channel? What do we do here? What is this? Is there any correlation with anything else? The question is, for everybody, the audience and everything, what is this? And comment below and comment in the chat. Let me know what you guys think. I thought it was interesting that not only are they writing this on petroglyphs, drawing this out, this is a larger scale. But let's get into it and take a deep dive into looking at observing the outskirts of this anomaly, right? This spiral. As you can see here, there's a solar panel area. And I mean, not just any solar panel. This is a large solar panel facility, a large, massive area, real estate that you can't even comprehend how far that is, but we can if I go and take a ruler. Let's just do and see how many miles this is. It's got to be a pretty good size piece of real estate, and lo and behold, it's like 3 miles in length. Isn't that interesting? And if you go, it's around not even a mile. It's not even a mile in the width, but it's 3 miles in length. Well, not only to mention that, when you go out and you kind of zoom back out, and here's the most other bizarre, compelling information here on Visual Disturbance. When you go to the left, you go out to the west of this area here where we have the spiral, we have more solar panels. There's more solar panels on this side. Abundance of solar panels, right? Well, let's take the ruler and see the length on this one. Let's see, and you got about a mile and a half, etc. So a couple miles worth of solar panels along this region, right? And it's just out in the middle of nowhere. The south lands west, and you have, Tucson area. So Tucson's a pretty good size area all over the place, right? We have all this land, but there's no cities, there's nothing here but solar panels. And my question is to you all and everybody in the audience and everybody that watches in the future, did the did the Native Americans know of an ancient spot that they would have done? You know, this is a hypothetical, like a what if moment. Did these Hohokam Native Americans, did they know that this had an ancient energy source? And this is this, are we still utilizing it today? That's that what if you're just now joining the what ifs on the daily what ifs. I said yesterday on my first program that I was going to do hypotheticals and speculate and just give you my take on a what if and give you information on a particular site. So here we are. If you're just now tuning in, that's the whole concept of this new series that I'm presenting here on Visual Disturbance. So the spiral, Ancient of Days, did they have some way of pegging this as a place of ancient significance that had a power signature? And that's what I wanted to ask you all, because literally it's in walking distance to go from this spiral to this. It's a mile to the solar panels. You can walk to that facility. And I thought it was interesting. They not only did they leave it alone, but they built around this square. If you look at it, it's almost a perfect square. They're building around it, right? They got these recycling facilities. Yes, I get it's a landfall. I get it, right? But yes, it looks kind of like this place. If you had, let's just say, a filter that the AI could take you back 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, I'd say this is a very vibrant area thousands and thousands of years ago. But how did this spiral last this long, and especially in 2025, the what ifs, and why did the ancient people continue to draw this all over the place on these rocks and formations? Because they're telling you, they're signifying there's something that they're communicating with, some shape or form. We can call them the star people, we can call them all these different applications, but let's just face the facts that we're talking about ancient antediluvian, or we're talking about fallen angel narrative that is still, we are still subjected to it this day in 2025. And I, like I said, alluded to on the last episode, this is why we have these things that they tried to warn humanity, like, hey, here's a significant, and here's the thing, if look how perfected this is. The circumference on it is unbelievable. If this is, let me know if I'm overstepping here. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is literally looks like the spiral that is talked about at the Tucson Spiral petroglyph, and that looks too perfect to me for it to be on an aerial. All these aerial phenomenons, like when you look at it from an aerial perspective and you look down on the ground, there's no way without the proper equipment we still couldn't replicate something similar to this. We can't even make it, like I said yesterday, we can't even build a building, and it's all, the precision of it cannot be as pure as some of these temples. They're just like so precise and so molded perfectly. There's no way this could even be a feasible, there's no possible way. It's unbelievable. We're missing something. There's something we're missing. So as you know, there's a lot of things going on in the western side of the world past, let's just say out toward California. There's a lot of things going on. So just today they talked about things are flying in the sky over top of all that carnage and death going on over there. My heart goes out to those poor people in California. But my point is, there's these anomalies, there's these phenomena in the sky. They're monitoring whatever it is. It's the Vimana, the Epha, the Orphana, the Ezekiel's wheel, and the wheel that was referred to in the biblical account. And then we have these ancient people here, these Hohokam Native Americans, that have built this structure, that whatever this is, to signify a ancient Stargate or something here to a portal. And it's so interesting to me because when I see these things, I think about ancient ley lines like we talked about on the last program. And a matter of fact, I'll put the ley lines up right now. So let's just do it for fun. So the ley lines are, let's see how far we are. So this little red dot here is a army base, not too far from here. So let's go to the ancient ley line here and see what's going on. Let's see how many miles it is from from there. So it's 20 miles. So yesterday, the site we was looking at in India, it was around 50 miles or 40 something miles. So today we're at 20 miles in Tucson. Tucson has a ley line literally going through Tucson. So interesting, and I want to just throw this out here too. This mica mountain that you see out here, isn't that intriguing? That's not something I wanted to present into the program here, but I'm going to go back and maybe look at this area later because I have a lot to talk about with mica. So remember, I might do that as a what if, right on the fly, right off the cuff during a live program. Just got inspired to do another what if, and we're going to talk about. We'll stay over in Arizona. I don't know if I'll do it on the next one, but stay tuned. We'll do it on one of them. So the question is, and I can't even answer it either. Is this an ancient Stargate portal that is being, used and utilized today, and they're using the power signature, like I said yesterday, when we was in India? It's what's underneath the earth is what they're looking for, what they're dealing with. These solar panels are popping up all over the place. They're saying, there's places around here that they're saying that they need thousands of acres for energy sources that not even the public are going to be able to use. It's not even for public, and they're not speaking of it or expanding upon it. They're using it for military applications. So isn't it interesting that there's a bunch of solar panels, and literally not too far from the solar panels is you have something of a significance of a military application. All these little red indicator lights or indicator icons are army bases. But yeah, so we have this mystery here, and what if it's an ancient Stargate and it's something that we need to ponder on in the future. So I want to show you guys something. I wasn't even going to introduce it. I wasn't even going to present it here in this material here today, but I want to show you something. So speaking of Gilgal, and we're going to go to Gilgal. So check this out. I'm going to get my miles. So I'm going to plug in and pinpoint a path, and then I'm going to go ahead and go, and it's going to stretch it. We're going to go to this archaeology site. So a lot of people don't know about this, but we're going to go there anyways. So check this out. At Gilgal Raphim, so let me get this off here. This box is in the way. So if you go from point A to point B, and we go to the Gilgal here, it's almost it's 7,467 miles. 4,467 miles. That's a lot of real estate. That's a lot of miles between the Tucson and where we are here. So I wanted to point something out. If you can see on the screen here, 7,467, and I'm not into gematria. I'm not. I mention it, I reference it, I talk about it. I don't dabble in it to the point that I believe it. But when I think about numbers and I add numbers up that are significant to me, it makes me wonder. So if you just take 7,4 and you just type it in, you just 7 plus 4 plus 6 plus 7. What do you get? You get 24. So, I know it's 7,467, but you get 24. And I thought about it. And I always think about Stargates. I always think about the Ouroboros or the Infinity, the number 8, right? 88 miles an hour. You all have seen me do like the Back to the Future programs with David, get all stoked about some time travel programs, right? And you always see that 88 number. We can get into occultic meanings. We can get into all kinds of different nonsense, right? But if you look at it, 888, so you have 3 8s. Yes, I know there's an extra 8 there. Yes, I understand. But when you see that, it equals 24. And if you all remember, there was a certain thing that happened a couple years ago that changed our paradigm. And there was a certain individual that wore the number 24 and as a jersey number for an NBA player. I'm not going to mention the name because the policies, and I got to watch what I say sometimes, but he wore the number 8 the beginning of his career, supposedly in the NBA, but then had a tragic accident. And you remember that there was a certain term that, it started with a K, but then there was another certain term that let's just say, that has been used very, freely for the last several years, for 5 years now, when it comes to things that went on into applications that I don't like to talk about. And so we have this 888-24. We have, remember, we are on the what ifs, so I get to speak freely about how my mind works when I'm thinking about these things on live stream. So hang with me, because sometimes I ramble, but I promise you there's a point. So we have this 888. We have number 24. We have 8. We have, let's just say there's a basketball player that played for the Los Angeles Lakers, right? Well, when you look at that term in those, it means crown, right? It means there's this terminology that was used in those applications with that specific individual. There was a severe crash of some shape or form, and I thought it was significant. There's all these crashes going on now, but we're not going to go too deep in that and expound on that too much, because it's just a lot of stuff to take in. But if you remember when we was over at the Spiral back in Arizona, so I looked and I was thinking 7467 888 equals 24. So I was like, what is that? So let's go back and real quick, let's stay here. The Gilgal, right? It looks very similar. And this place is to do with the ancient giants of old. Before we move on with the 888 narrative and the 24, this is the ancient Stargate for giants. Giants was buried here. Okay? A lot of people think there's no such thing as giants. There never was. Biblical text says something totally different than what they're feeding you throughout academia world. Let's go back to Arizona, and I'm going to show you something and hold that thought about the Los Angeles Lakers and the 888 and the number 24. 3 8s equals 24. Let's check this out. I'm going to go back. So in the Tucson area, right? So Tucson, now I'm gonna clear that line that reached to the Gilgal. So when we're looking at this place and we're kind of zooming out, and I was thinking to myself, I kind of took a deep look at it for a minute. I'm like, that's weird. And when you zoom out here, and I'm gonna speak on here, and I'm gonna show it, because I know they're coming back on it with the reins a little bit. They're letting people kind of loosen the noose, so to speak, about certain things we can say, but I'm still guarded, and hopefully my stuttering and hopefully my decrypting language being encrypted helps out, because a lot of people probably won't understand what I'm saying, and I apologize for that because I can't come out and say it. But I wanted to point something out not too far from the Spiral, Corona D Tucson. So I thought that was interesting that this term shows up in our realm significantly throughout our world, and especially since 2020. So I thought that was interesting. Not too far from this particular site where the Spiral is, if you can see on the screen, Corona D Tucson. And then that's not that far from, it's literally like, and it's what's so bizarre about it, if you click on it, and like right there at the tip of where the middle of the circle is, where the Spiral is, and if I could just kind of zoom out and go where the Corona D Tucson is, let's see, Tucson, excuse me, it's approximately, that's what's so strange to me, it's like right over top where it says Corona D Tucson, it literally is 8.7, it's almost precisely 8 in the map length as far as the miles, right? It's a little bit over 8 miles. And I thought that was interesting. There's that significance of number 8. How does that even happen? And like I said, this is the what if, hypothetical speculation on my part. But what if there's something here that I'm missing? And even if I'm just touching the small surface of it, right? You got the 8, and then when you go from the spiral to all the way to Gilgal, Raphaim, you think, why is there numbers when you add them all up, even though you're taking the 7,467 miles, you get 3 8s and it equals 24. And I thought that was interesting just to point out during this program, the Corona D Tucson. So what do you guys think? Because it's that what if factor, the daily what ifs on Visual Disturbance channel. Is there some kind of correlation with like occultic meanings, understanding? Is there some type of ancient, dark mysticism, something that is going on in our world when it comes to these sacred ley lines? And there's these, you know, the Native Americans built these strategically laid out places, or is it the fallen angels built them? Did, you know, because back, you know, if you go to the Serpent Mountain in Ohio, the Indians say we was these things, whoever built this place was here before we even had this area. So is this what happened here? Is this what's happened here in Tucson? Is that the same kind of thing? Does, you know, is just the Native Americans claiming it? I don't know. I'm not trying to discredit them in any shape or form. Native Americans have a lot of information they've been giving it through petroglyphs, showing us all this information through all these years. And I would take it as a warning when they showing creatures and stuff that is like not known to our, you know, time frame. You know, is this just some kid or somebody being an artistic stance and just putting something that they're rendering on a block, on a rock, right, on a petroglyph? But I wanted to show that. I hope that made sense, because you have those 3 8s, you have this to Corona D Tucson. I hope that makes more sense when I can use it in that way, because the things that's been in the last several years, I thought that was very interesting, especially when that poor basketball player, he left this earth. But there was all kinds of different connections with that term, and I wanted to kind of point that all out, because we have these numbers. The numbers don't lie. Why are the numbers there? You know, is it just some kind of random fluke? What is it? You know, I don't believe in coincidences, but I like to go down rabbit holes. That's why I created this what if daily what ifs, so I can kind of give you information that you can go freely look up for yourselves and you know, fact check it, whatever you want, you know, however you want to do that. But I want to expand upon things about how my mind works even if it's just, you know, speculation or hypothetical. I really want to kind of branch out and just have an open-minded conversation, especially just with everybody here. And I hope everybody enjoys this. I really do. I'm just trying to, you know, feed on this as we're doing the live feed live together, and kind of peel back all the onion, especially with these archaeology sites. What is it? Why does Gilgal have a significant reference to, you know, the giants? And why is this place at Tucson, just this Tucson Spiral with the petroglyphs? What is going on? And even in Tucson, you can see those petroglyphs show ancient people that are giant in stature. And I think some of them, if I'm not mistaken, in somewhere in Arizona, they even have the 6 fingers. They show that and then the Viking-like helmets, that they're coming out of a spiral. Like there's a giant creature coming out, a man-like creature coming out of a spiral. So hypothetical, out of the ordinary, out of this world. You know, you look at the Miami event, you look at all the stuff that's happened with the so-called alien UFO agenda, and you look at the people down in Miami at that mall, and they said they opened up a spirit box, and there was a portal opened up, and there's these beings that are 8 to 10 feet tall. Is there something correlating with all this? Did the Native Americans leave significant data to tell us what not to do? Like, we've done this, don't touch it, don't dabble in it, seek another way. Don't do this, because you're going to open yourself up to portals and things that are going to be up on the earth, and then men's hearts will fail them, right? But then you got, you know, Mr. White Robe over there in the Star Fort, you know, his fortified Star Fort out there in the, let's just say, the Vatican, and he wields what he wields. If he wants to open a portal now, he can just sit in front of whatever and just say a little chant, whatever, and pop it off, and there, voila, you got a sacred portal. So all this stuff goes back to the demonic spiritual applications, aliens, UFOs. Back then they used to call it demons and angels. Now we're calling it UAPs, UFOs, spray, make you go cray, whatever type of level of insanity you want to say. And then it defragments our brain to where we can't correlate and say, hey, these ancient civilizations and cultures was warning us. They was warning us. And they knew that they went to war with them, with these beings that come out of the water, the beings that come out of the portals, right? There's a correlation. There's something here. So, like I said, I don't get into gematria. I don't get into this numerology, trying to dig into, when you look into binary code and when you get into quantum physics. I just think there's something here that is so significant that we're missing. And like I said, the what if factor, here's a what ifs. I hope I didn't take you too far down the rabbit hole. And I'm sorry that I had to kind of hesitate and watch what I say when I was talking about that manner of that individual that lost his life in a crash, but it was all right, perfectly laid out. And there was so many conspiracies around that with the name, the numbers, and then boom, I think it was in 2019, and then boom, all of a sudden, miraculously, those things start showing up in our realm. Take it for what it is, what I've showed you today. I hope it's interesting to you, because I thought this anomaly, this ancient Stargate portal, whatever it is, in Tucson, there's significance here. Why would they be drawing it and writing it on petroglyphs? And then when I found out and I looked and I was like, Gilgal, why is there, it looks very similar to Gilgal, even though Gilgal's structurally made a little different. There's that consistency. So you aerial view, we'll go back to it real quick before I conclude this live feed here, but let's go back to Gilgal one more time. So the Gilgal, the perfectly circle, right? Look at all them ley lines when we're driving through here. So when you look at the circle at Gilgal, it's perfect, right? It's a perfectly symmetrical circle. And like I say here on Visual Disturbance, you're seeing orbs in the sky. You're seeing all these anomalies. They're talking right now. We got New Age theology. We got people saying that the world is going to change dramatically in 2025, that there's going to be a great shift. I'm even hearing people, guys, even, speaking about time travel, people are like, I just went through a time shift. I just went through a time jump. I just went through this. I went through that. I'm not making fun of them or scoffing at them. I'm just trying to ask myself, how do you know that you're jumping through time? How do you know that you did some type of timeline jump? Do you have significant data? Please let me know. If you come with the receipts and give me the information, I'll present it here on Visual Disturbance. If you can show me that you jumped through a portal and you miraculously went through a time jump and you ended up 30 minutes down the road and you have no recollection of memory, please try to back it up with data. If you got camera footage, let me know, because my mind can't comprehend where we are in 2025. It's so strange right now. People are, they're losing their I'm about to say bandwidth, but they're losing their just constantly, they're detached. It seems like we're detached from the reality. So when you show things like this, it's like, people would scoff at me. Probably archaeologists would laugh at me. They're like, well, it's all speculation. Well, I've admitted that. I've said it here on this program. But the stuff that I read earlier was fact about the Tucson Spiral. But when this little add-on additional information, just all theory and speculation. But I promise you, even the giants of old would have trouble building, because this doesn't give it any justice. When you look at this at Gilgal, I've showed this many times, the rocks that it took to build the perimeter and the circle formations, the ton of weight, and the rocks are gigantic. So riddle that one, folks. When it looks into Genesis 6 and you look and you say, hey, there's the Anunnaki, there's all these, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Zimazus, there's like 36 tribes of giants. Riddle that one, folks. What's going on here? How do you replicate this? Because we can't. We lose our stamina, our endurance. It doesn't matter if you're the top athlete, 7'2", and you can bench press 7,000 pounds, you're not going to be able to pull this off. Well, I'm exaggerating the 7,000. Well, 700 pounds, you're not going to be able to pull off this endeavor and build it from a sky view, and especially there at the Spiral over there in Arizona, Tucson. So is there energy sources? Is there a spiral? Is there some type of significance, like I alluded to earlier with the Ouroboros and the, like the snake eating the head, so to speak? If I've done programs on this, which while we're here, if you can see here, whenever I've done this program, I think it was Atlantis, or there was one I did with Brother David Carrico. You almost looks like you have this mound Stargate, and then not too far you have a spiraling looking, it looks like the shape of a snake, right? And this square box is annoying right now. Forgive me for that. Let me click off of that if I can. It won't let me. But anyways, this spiraling of the snake, of the serpent, right? And you see this throughout history. You see it through all different cultures. And I wonder, and I ask myself, the spiraling, the snake eating the head, is there something here that I'm missing as far as a modern day human being? Like, hey, just clean slate, don't know, just say I don't know nothing, and I'm just observing this and looking at it with a new pair of eyes, and I'm evaluating the situation. I would say there's some type of, like I spoke of earlier, and the astronomical aspect of it. Somebody knows something. Astronomers, there's something that constellations, energy patterns, something has to be going on here. And I will bring this up real quick. Did you know that NASA is studying ancient portals? They won't tell you that, but they are. And then our government is spending billions of dollars on magic. Billions of dollars on magic. So riddle that one and get back with me when you can explain why we're investing all this money, because we're trying to open up these ancient things. That's straight up. That's straight up. You can find ancient civilizations, historical documentation, villages, rock shelters, you name it, and there'll be 8 to 10 to 12 to 15 foot people, and voila, you'll have solar panels. You'll have all these locations being just completely, just put a layer of asphalt across, put a slab across it, put up some solar panels, everybody be quiet, everybody's fed, everybody be quiet, and we don't have to worry about it no more, because the average Joe, the average human they're not going to question anything. They're not going to look at these sites like there's any kind of substance there that that doesn't have any significant value. Let's just crush it. Let's just put up a new brick and mortar store so I can have entertainment. They're not going to see what's underneath the ground. Like I said earlier during this broadcast, what's under the ground is what's significant. And like I said earlier when we was showing the Tucson Spiral, I really do think there's something here under the ground. And let me know what you guys think, because it baffles me. I really want to really dive into this more. And I know that I haven't done Google Earth imagery for a long time, especially since yesterday's when I revealed the new daily what ifs program that I'm presenting here. This is a second one out of the gate. Second one. Like I said yesterday, I'm a little rusty, but I feel a little bit better today. A little bit better. But I hope everybody's enjoyed these type of broadcasts, because I sure have. And it kind of goes back to the roots to what I used to do on Visual Disturbance all the time when it comes to the Google Earth imagery. But what do you guys think? I'm going to look at the chat real quick. I'm going to stay here just for a little bit. And I'm so glad to see everybody here again. What a blessing it is. I'm going to check let's see. I'm gonna check it out. Check out the cool. Yeah, we got Johnny Kirk. You're always here, man. Yeah, we got Bill O'Connell. Got Bill O'Connell in the house. Yeah, I'm just looking at it. I was kind of observing the chat there, but Well, I'll take one question. I'll take one question while we're on the live stream. I'll take one or two questions real quick. We need to have a place we can think speculative openly. Okay. Craig Hagen, what's up? Where was bless you guys. I appreciate it for being here. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do more of these daily what ifs. I hope everybody. I like a, I always use the term a gear turning, thought provoking conversation. I hope you enjoy the concept of what I'm trying to present here, because half the last 25 minutes I know I speculated and it's all hypothetical. But what if? What if some of this is true? That there's significant information if you was to be boots on the ground, and you could have conversations with the locals in Gilgal, in Arizona, the Tucson. If the Native Americans are still there, that have been there for centuries, wonder what they would say about this particular place. I say they'll say stuff like, there was men that came and take certain people. And you will hear that story. You will hear that in the Arizona account. There's a little, I'm trying to remember where it's at right now. It's slipping my mind right now. There's a site where literally, like I alluded to earlier, the Viking-like giant men come and they would let them adapt and let them get technologically advanced, and then they would take them through these spirals. So imagine that. Imagine in 2025, oh my goodness, why would there be orbs and drones in the sky? Would they? Oh, don't worry about that. We're technologically advanced. Oh, don't worry about that. Nothing new under the sun. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about what they've done in the past with the levitation and autonomous vehicles. Don't worry about that you could hover in the sky with these Vimana and these Orphana, these ancient crafts. Oh, that's all figurative, man. We're the most advanced, technological advanced city or country that's ever been in the history of mankind. And that's all. I'm scoffing at that a little bit. I'm kind of making fun of even me saying it. I shouldn't even say it, but that's the way I feel sometimes, what we've been spoon-fed across the airwaves, so to speak. And it's annoying on the highest order, because you can go and look at archaeology and you'll say, man, there's so much stuff here that's intriguing, so much to get excited about. There's a lot of people are giving up, in this world. They're thinking that there's no purpose anymore. Well, if you go outside and look down the street and you take a shovel and you dig for some mica. Remember I was talking about mica? If you dig for certain elements and ore that's under the ground, you'd be surprised what's underneath your feet. You probably, people that have lived on 200 or 300 years of farmland that's been passed down for generations and generations. You have a powder keg of information. You probably have more money, gold, silver, whatever it is, materials under the ground, and you've been told that you have not got nothing. I have seen people like that in land. And then guess what? 20 years go by, 30 years go by, and the person that was saying, I don't have anything here, it's just a couple acres worth of land, it ain't worth nothing. And all of a sudden, they'll pass on and go on into the either, oblivion, and they'll pass away and leave this earth. And then all of a sudden, all of a sudden, you got the corporations come in, and there's $1 billion, and there's all this investment. Right? And then that poor soul was being lied to all these years, and all of a sudden you got a bunch of excavation going on. Oh, man, don't worry about that. They just found something. No, they already knew it. They knew it for a long time, but we creep in. Things creep in. You got to kind of dig in, and then all of a sudden the deeds and the money start to flowing, and then all of a sudden you get the rug pulled out from under you. I promise you that goes on to this day. I promise you. And it drives me insane. I have to watch what I say, but it is a sure pointed fact. I have seen it in my local area, and it'll makes your stomach turn sideways. And I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with ancient cultures that's underground. You heard what I said. There's people underground. There's creatures underground. There's things that are going bump in the night. Harvard, we've heard it. You've heard me say it on the News It's Not For Everybody. Harvard admitted it last year, said, yes, we found somewhat of an advanced civilization underground. Listen, folks, They're talking no different than what they was talking about, the Hopi prophecies. All the Native Americans talk about the reptilian-like, lizard-like creatures that was underneath the ground in the Grand Canyon, etc. This whole thing, they're marking their territory, like, hey, don't touch this. It's, you know, because you'll hear the term, this is sacred ground, right? This is holy ground, right? Or this is cursed. But you know what's so funny though? It doesn't. Hey, this is the truth. When they have the applications of the bulldozer and the caterpillar comes by, the big crane, it don't listen. I know in Skinwalker Ranch they have anomalies, but they come in with full force and tear it all down. They come in and tear it. I'm not talking about Skinwalker Ranch. They got all kinds of anomalies over there. That's a different story. But when it comes to these archaeology sites, they just pull right on, man. They extract the body, extract all the anatomy, all the bones, Smithsonian, whoever it is. It doesn't matter. You can categorize them however you want to categorize them. It's a name, okay? It's just human beings doing weird things. And that's why I'm so adamant about speaking against. I think it's so there's a way of doing things. There's a way of doing things, and I think things have not been done properly. So when you're thinking on a human stance, and you're looking up and you're seeing orbs and drones and stuff, shapeshifters or whatever, and you can't process it, and then all the governments of old, you know, everybody, all these older people that are in power, oh well, we're still investigating. We're still investigating. Well, these people, they didn't have to investigate. This stuff came down. This stuff showed up. They're like, hey, we got warnings. Start carving into the wall. Start making notes. Chisel, right? Because something's, you know, getting ready to pop off in our skies. There's things coming. They call them the Thunderbirds. All these different names they've come up with. Sky people, natives, you know, you know, even going to Mexico, Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl, all these characters would live underneath the earth. There's like all this correlation with tunnel systems and everything. It's just so strange to me. And, you know, I'm sorry to go on a big rant, big tangent there, but things just do not register with me. I don't understand. And at the end of the day, the money is not the thing. I want everybody to know this. The money is not the problem here. A lot of people's like, well, it just takes money to make money. That's what you hear around here. When the money that is put in investment to look at these sites, it's what's under the ground that far surpasses. If they had say they had $1 billion, it's going to be 25, 30-fold more, right? So that's why you see all these like archaeologists, military applications coming in, swooping in, taking these places over, and then all of a sudden a military base shows up. Well, it's because there's significant value of some kind of signature, ancient gates, ley lines, etc. Because you can look at it. We'll have to go and talk about that on the daily what ifs about all the military applications, and they're talking about it. All these military bases have significant data with Space Force and all these different, I guess let's just say the people in the know with these different agencies making the shifting of this great nonsense that they're pulling us into. They're forcing us into it, so to speak. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because the days of old, they was saying it, they seen it, they observed it, they wrote it down. Even in the Bible, it talks about things coming out of the sky. I mean, come on. And we're not ignorant, okay? Everybody that's watching Visual Disturbance, you might, after this video, after the 888, you might think I'm ignorant. But that's okay. That's okay, because somebody in the chat said they loved a place where they could just think freely and just, you know, speculate. And I'm glad that you're here. So bless you and thank you for being part of the Visual Disturbance community. But that's me on my rants. I know it's just, everything is just not what it seems when it comes to the land. It's that's why they're surveying the land. Just think about what I'm saying. I've got to watch what I say. That's why there's things that are going on and people are suffering because there's stuff under the land that is going to bring in the golden age. Okay, bring in the autonomous vehicles, the things that are on Sci-Fi in 1995 times, Sci-Fi Channel. Okay, we're going to see those type of things coming into our existence, into our realm. And it's just interesting to me. But that's the daily what ifs. I went a little long. Today. And but yeah, I'm glad to see everybody. I didn't even take a question. I'm sitting there rambling because I was waiting for a question and then I got sidetracked. So there you go. Ramblings with visual disturbance on the daily what ifs. The daily what ifs. So yeah, but anyways, we got to keep our heads on a swivel. We got to keep praying, and like I said yesterday, God has us here for a purpose, and don't be in fear. Don't, because a lot of people are in fear right now. There's a lot of things to be concerned about. That doesn't mean we give up, and that doesn't mean we just like, hey, put our hands up and say, oh yeah, here's the the doormat. I'm a doormat. Don't say it about yourself. Keep your head up. Be peaceful. Be joyful. Be kind to each other. And there's a YouTuber out there. He goes, "Be the change you want to see." I hear him all say, "Be the change you want to see" all the time. Well, I don't really have a slogan or anything I want to say or anything I can speak upon, but yeah, just be that I can say off the cuff that can be that can do better than that, but do better. Like that. I'm speaking to myself too. Do better as a human, just a human, a good moral human. I know it's very hard. In this world that we live in, but just try to keep your head up and do the right thing. Always do the best thing that you can do, because there's things that are wanting to go to war with us. I spoke about those things today. Giants of old, aliens, creatures that are in the earth. Come on now, come on. If you start seeing reptilians walking around, you're going to be all, oh, thanks for the subscribe. You got the clapping the hands in the background. I haven't fixed that yet, but thank you for subscribing. But you think, you think the Indians of the old, when they said that they put, when Abraham Lincoln said that the ancient giants are on the mounds, the ancient giants, you can look that transcript up, and that individual, our president in 1848, said that the ancient giants, and he's talking about the mastodons and everything. You think those Indian mounds, you think those giants just kind of submerged in there, and they's like, I'll build the rock up. Let's just fortify and build a big old dome over top of this individual. No. In some cases, they was worshipped and placed there, but I can promise you that they went to war with these entities, these large creatures. And I'm going to tell you right now, when the ships roll up and the 8 to 10 foot tall and bulletproof creatures show up and they'll say, we all the Atlanteans, or they pit, I can only imagine right now. I can only imagine. We placed you here. Please don't panic. I mean, I'm doing, excuse me, there's a Arnold impersonation here. Don't panic. Don't go that way. There's significant data with that. There's people saying, speculating online, that these entities are here to save us. They're here to save us with their ancient crafts, and they're the Anunnaki. Lies, lies, lies. Lies, lies, lies. Because the Native Americans telling a different story. They went to war to keep their genome, to keep their family tree alive. They fought for their women and children to prosper, to have a future. Oh, Brian, that's all. You're crazy. No, you can go look it up. The giants of old would take the women and the children, and that's what's going on here today. We've advanced to so far, and people are talking about great resets, etc. It's because there's something with the angelic realm going on with it. We're in the dark, folks, but that doesn't mean that we can't shine a little light here on this earth that we live in. So we continue to pray. We continue to put the Lord first, Christ first, right? A lot of people are talking about Christ consciousness, which I don't subscribe to. But when we talk about Christ and what He done and the special things of this, the special things, and a lot of people are like, Brian, you're getting religious on us. Well, no. There's a lot of people coming to the realization, these agnostics, these people that are been non-believers for years, are coming out and saying, hey, there's something really strange going on about if I say Jesus, these orbs or these whatever's going on in the skies, they're running, they're flying away, or they're like shining a little, shine like a diamond, or or spiraling at them, or showing some type of consciousness when they say the name of Jesus. And I thought that was very significant. But we will see. We will see. I'm a little long here on this program. I was going to try to go less than an hour, but started going on my big rant. But I hope y'all have enjoyed this program of the daily what ifs. I'm going to try to do one every day. I can't, like I said earlier, I can't make any promises. But I really am going to try. And, yeah, Joshua, Francis, yeah, so you're talking about bullets, copper, remove, yeah, so get you some copper. I'm not going to, yeah, I got to watch what I say sometimes here on YouTube. But yeah, get you some copper, abundance of copper. That's why you find copper beads and copper everything when it comes into these Indian mounds. They'll have like copper beads and like one little pellet. It's weird, guys. It's so strange. They're significantly laid there for a particular reason, okay? It's particularly there laid for a reason. It's insane. It's insane. It's insane. It totally is. The copper thing is a big deal. It's a huge deal, actually. The Indians knew that too. There's Indians that are around that had copper suits on that would run through the woods. I don't know how they figured that out. I guess they had some help. I guess they had some help with the, let's just say, when you look at the Mount Hermon, right? With the angels that took the oath. But yeah, there's my big rant. There's my big speculative and random hypothetical commentary for today. I don't like to go too long. I didn't even take a question, but I did kind of touch base on some of the comments. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Joshua, is that legit? I heard that there's no way to confirm how the soldiers eliminated the giant in Kandahar. That's 100% correct. From what I've heard, they whenever they, because the military personnel would train in caves. Now, I know people that actually trained in caves. I couldn't believe it back in the early 2000s. I thought that was strange. And they would just learn how to shoot up, to point their guns up, and then basically I think after they got through the double rows of teeth, his jaw fell off, and they was able to like penetrate some of the organs or something to that effect to get that Kandahar giant to, it was like 1,200 pound giant, to haul him off with a Chinook on a pallet. That's the story, but kind of a rough conversation there on it. But yeah, I've heard all kinds of stuff. I mean, listen, I guess I can learn. I guess if I ever see a 20-footer run down the street, the only thing we got in the house, the only thing we have is there's copper tubing, I guess. I guess we can start making like javelins or copper arrowheads, and just take a risk and start pop, and boom goes the 1,500 pound giants of old walking around. But there's some fun plug in. There's my little Kentucky slang I always talk about. But anyways, I'm gonna sign off on here. But I hope everybody's doing good. Thank you all for being part of this. I mean, I went live back-to-back days. I hope everybody's enjoying it. I hope everybody really is enjoying it, because I'm doing these daily what-ifs. And comment below in the comments box and let me know what you guys think about this spiral in Tucson. And especially with the portal in the middle of nowhere. What do you guys think? Because it's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. And it's just something to really think about. But anyways, sorry to go too long here on the conclusion of this. I get excited when I get to read really cool questions or commentary that is, like I said earlier, thought-provoking conversation. I enjoy this, and I hope you all have done the same. So share this thing out. Kentucky, awesome. Families from Kentucky. Boom, boom. Joshua there again, talking about them natives from Kentucky. We're not all bad. Kentuckians. There's some pretty cool Kentucky folk out there. But yeah, how's the weather down there? It's icy. I tell you what, the snow has came down. It's never stopped, and I think we're gonna have a little bit of freedom tomorrow, and then it's gonna come back with a vengeance. Okay, it's like 16 degrees or 18 degrees right now, and it's ice. It's like Alaskan. It's like the polar vortex of glaciers out here, man. Yeah. Thankfully, everything is going good. The internet's went down a few times, but the electric is staying full force. Thank God. So, anyways, I hope y'all are good. I hope y'all are doing well. Thank you all for attending with me. Like I said yesterday, your time means something to me. Johnny Kirk, that 3-letter restaurant, stay away from it. Okay, so there's my advice for today on here. I hope he caught that. I hope he heard me. But anyways, I hope y'all are blessed. I hope you enjoyed this daily what ifs. I hope you're enjoying the concept of it, because I sure am. Hope to see you next time. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be back for another live stream. I hope I will be. If I'm not, don't hate on me too bad, but I'm going to try my best to do another daily what ifs. Portal in the middle of nowhere. Who knows what's going to happen on the next daily what ifs? But please subscribe. Please share this out. I really, 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 really appreciate it. Like I said yesterday, there's been a lot of people here since the beginning when I had literally 10 subscribers. And I just can't imagine. I couldn't imagine that I, even to this day, have what I've got on here. So it's nothing but a blessing. And just thank you all so much. I really do. I thank you all. So share this thing out, subscribe. Thanks for the donations. Thanks for everybody subscribing. You all are just a great audience. I always have a pretty decent chat. I never have too many people trolling the chat, and that's great. I just love that. I'm loving everybody can actually come together and not cause too much discord in my chat. And I couldn't ask for a better chat. So thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Visual Disturbance. I am out of here. Daily what ifs. Walk around and talk to everybody and say, man, daily what ifs. And then, maybe get some traction. People at your workplace would be like, did you ever hear the daily what ifs? They'd be like, what are you talking about? A daily 9 to 5 is what if. But anyway, see you on the next one, guys. Everybody, Visual Disturbance, I'm out of here. Share this thing out. Thank you all for attending. Oh, don't forget, tonight, me and Brother Data are going to be going live here in about 2 hours on the DLC channel. So until next time, there's a little plug in for tonight. I'll see you in a few hours. Me and David Carrico are going to be going live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. See you in the next one. Thanks for being part of Visual Disturbance. Until next time, Visual Disturbance, I'm out of here.
Got one that can see.
Check. Is this thing running? Is this thing on? Never give in to the Internet of Things, because I'm back, hopefully for a little while. Hopefully we'll have enough time to get this program up and running. But welcome to Daily What Ifs Programming Time, Round 2 Fight. Let's get into it. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Visual Disturbance. I'm your host. Welcome to the Daily What Ifs, round 2. We are back again. Earlier, I apologize for everybody. I had to make a whole nother new link and everything. The powers that be turned me off. Click. They just went, no programming today, Visual Disturbance. Click, boom. So click, click, boom. Yeah, that's not good. But yeah, welcome to Daily What Ifs, Programming in Time. Welcome to Visual Disturbance. I hope you can hear me. I hope everything is good and crystal clear and all that good stuff. But we're going to get back on the horse. Hit all the links in the description because this is going to be a new video since the other one I had to toss it to the curve. But welcome everybody to the program. Welcome everybody that's come in here to gather with me this evening. And we got a lot to unpack and probably a little bit short time to get there because probably the internet might go out again because of all the ice. All this vortex has messed up transmissions, communications, all that good stuff. So programming in time, the daily what ifs. If you caught the last 2 daily what ifs, this is all when I look at factual information or programming or whatnot, and we'll show the information. Then I give my own spin and my own take on what ifs. And hope you all engaged too, because I love the last 2 we did. Everybody in the description, everybody commented below. It was so cool to get everybody's opinion. But today, we're going to talk about programming, TV, movies, all that good stuff. And we're going to get to some really compelling, mind-boggling information. And I'm pretty excited to talk about it because that's why I said I'm going to endure and go through this endurance and not get complacent and not lose my bearings because this is round 2 here of Programming in Time. Welcome everybody to the program. Let's get into it again. Let's drop this. Let's get back into the truth about this exposure to this stuff that is mind-boggling. And if the internet goes out again, we'll try for round 3. So welcome to the Daily What Ifs. That's enough of me rambling on. Check out the links in the description, all the affiliated channels and everything that's associated with Visual Disturbance. We really would appreciate it if you would hit that like button and share this thing out and subscribe to all the other channels that are affiliated with the Visual Disturbance. So let's just jump right on in here and get back on the horse. Speaking of Back to the Future program, so we're talking about programming in time. What is up with this Back to the Future that is so compelling, so informative as far as the little, earlier I was talking about Easter eggs, right? The little Easter eggs they plug in and, talking about movies and video games and whatnot. So this Back to the Future to me in the 1985 flick is very compelling to me because when you get into this, time travel narrative, like I was trying to talk about in the first broadcast before it got interrupted by the Internet of Things. The 88 symbolism in this film is so intriguing to me. It's interesting. You have Doc with a DeLorean and Marty McFly here that is participating in a, let's just say, time travel experiment with a remote control car, the DeLorean. And as you all know, I love talking about Back to the Future because I've done quite a few little short segments on the Back to the Future, but I did a whole Back to the Future decoding program with Brother David Carrico, and I totally enjoy it. But yeah, so get back to the 80s narrative. We have time travel movies, we have Terminator, we have, Bill and Ted Adventures, the telephone booth, all that good stuff, right? But we have this DeLorean, and for it to go at 88 miles an hour, they have this experiment, and Doc is in there I think it's the JCPenney's parking lot at the first film, and it's like early in the morning, right after midnight. I think it's at 1 something in the evening, or in the early morning hours, and he's got a remote control in the DeLorean. So Marty McFly, he's all like, marveling after this endeavor, this huge event that's getting ready to conspire here in the parking lot. Well, he uses the dog, right? Einstein, the dog, and he goes to the future, a couple minutes in the future, right? You see these blue flames, you see this blue lightning coming, striking down the DeLorean, and boom, it just disappears, right? And Einstein, the doc, his lovely companion, gets shot into the future and drifts into the parking lot and all that good stuff. So to continue on here, we talk about the 88 miles an hour. To hit 88 miles an hour is the way this time travel narrative is set for Back to the Future. So you have this DeLorean and the time travel mechanism, which we all know because it's an 80s classic, right? So we know of the flux capacitor. This is what makes time travel enabled into the Back to the Future narrative. So there's this 88. So earlier, whenever I got disconnected from the timeline, right? Earlier was talking about I don't know where people come up with this Mandela stuff and the timeline shifting. I'm not mocking or making fun of anybody. I wish I could have receipts. I wish somebody could show me some information. If that stuff is legit, give me some information that holds fit, because I cannot see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just, maybe my mind is not tuned in that way. But here on the What Ifs program, I'm going to show you where my mind goes and kind of show you the compelling information that I found. So focus on this flux capacitor for a little bit and look at the petroleum and all that. You look and it says disconnect the capacitor drive before opening, shield eyes from light, and you can see here there's the 88. So the 88 keeps showing up everywhere. There's movies, TV shows all over the place. And there is one that's very interesting to me that goes along with this Back to the Future. And that was, you've heard me talk about this film or this TV show quite often, Manifest. So on this slide here, this one's the slide from season 4, I think, and it's called Make the Final Connection. Well, here we are in the Visual Disturbance community, here in the Visual Disturbance channel. We're going to make a connection, but it's going to be so interesting and so mind-boggling. You're going to be like, what did I just watch? So as you can see here on the top of the screen, at the top of the slide here, these people, I'll give you a little context, a little plot point, just very little here on the manifest. When I got abruptly interrupted during the internet connection, because, the snow and the particles are melting, so it's disconnection time. So manifest program, there's these people that get on this plane and they're going to a final destination, so to speak, and then all of a sudden they're up in the air for several minutes and their cell phones, all this disruptions go off, and they don't know they don't have any communications at all. And all of a sudden they are miraculously teleported 5 years into the future, right? And there's all these, the FBI, CIA, all this emergency equipment. Everybody just like panicking because they thought they lost this plane. They thought they lost the people, right? They thought it was completely vanished, right? Then all of a sudden it manifests, right? So get this, here's where it gets insane. So you see that plane on the screen here. Does anybody know what the number of the plane was called? This is what gets me. It gets me every time. It's pretty bizarre. Did you know that the plane was 828? There's that 88 imagery again. And manifesting on a plane. And you have that time travel mechanism, and it corresponds with, this 88, 1980s flick, right? This old movie from the Back to the Future. So, earlier I was speaking about, in the last program, before we got disconnected, that there's all this, I think the directors and producers use, obviously they like to use nostalgic clips and like relevant increment, small little plug-ins, like I said about dropping Easter eggs to correspond with an old film, right? Because they love to just kind of bait and switch and pull anybody in that was an 80s fan or was alive in the 80s, right? They love this time travel capability, and when you get into 0-point energy and these propulsion systems on a factual information, this stuff is true. There's a 0-point energy field, and there's like the manas and orphanas and all this space force narrative where there's something that is in the air, drones, however you want to call it, fallen angel technology is what we call it here at Visual Disturbance Channel. But when you look about it and you think about it and articulate it and you look at the whole spectrum of things, the panorama, is all of it connected in some shape or form, sinister plot to make us manifest something that is not good for our well-being. Let's say that. So speaking of, don't forget the flux capacitor and the 828, because we're going to get back to this Manifest TV show. So where I was cut off earlier, this is where I was at earlier on the What Ifs programming in time. I was at this slide right here. So time cut. I skipped through this film. I would not recommend watching it for certain reasons. There's just certain things I just don't get into. But I referenced it for the time travel narrative in itself. Skip through, give you a short summary of it. This is like a horror movie, spin-off, so-called slasher, something weird with a time travel capability in it. As we can see here on this slide, this is from the movie slide. When you look at it, you see, and I know there's, like I got cut off earlier, this wardrobe here, I want to just focus on what they're showing here, this imagery, the symbolism, what they're showing. So if you look, and I was talking about earlier in the other program before I got disconnected, that there's this duality, this dualism, right? So in the manifest program, there's this plane that's 828, they're associated, and there's these characters that have superpowers. When they come back, the main characters have, 5 years teleport in the future, and then they have these telekinesis and different capabilities since they was on that plane, right? Manifested this supernatural abilities, and which is kind of, demonic in nature, right? No, it's not kind of, it just straight up is. So this TV show is telling you, the manifest and symbol, this duality, this dualism. There's like twinning, right? There's, we talked about this in programs with NASA and everything. There's this duality, this shifting of twins. They have a twin research program, doppelgangers, right? So on this slide here, you see a doppelganger. You see the mirroring, right? You see mirrors. You got 2 of 2. So these 2 are sisters, but they did not know they were sisters until miraculously the youngest sister that is wearing the blue top, and we're going to focus on that here in a second. As you can see here, she has these glasses, heart glasses, but if you can look, there's a Monarch on this shirt, and it's blue. You got to think about the blue, and we're going to hold that thought because later on in this program, we're going to talk about blue imagery and what is that? What's going on? So there's the Monarch. So what's going on with the Monarch? And let's hang on real quick. Let me tune in here and let me see what I can pull in because my screens are all messed up because I had some technical issues. One moment. Let me fix this here for everybody here to see. All right, so we're going to look here and check this out. So I just typed in and I Googled this. Anybody can do this. So Monarch occult meaning. In indigenous Mexican cultures, the monarch butterfly is a sacred symbol that connects to the living to the dead. The living to the dead. Monarchs are believed to carry the souls of ancestors visiting from the afterlife. Well, what's interesting about it, folks, is when you look at this imagery and you think about this movie, she literally has to go. It's almost approximately 20 years. She miraculously tries to go back in time. Well, here's the kicker and the twist to it. Her sister passes away before the one with the Monarch shirt is born, and the parents there's a horrible situation where she passes away during the film, but there's some type of time travel mechanism that the young lady stumbles upon in a barn. Well, she teleports back to 2003. Okay, well, she has to try to save her sister. All right. So what was interesting is the Monarch, she becomes like the goddess, right? Like she's the, instead of this inferior, she's the superior authority, right? She's taking over this duality mirrorism. So it's mirroring, right? So at the beginning, she teleports back in 2003, and the youngest daughter sees and goes, because she's in the same town, everything, so she goes and finds her sister, and because she automatically knows that something has happened. Well, I want to focus real quick on the plot point here of her character. She gets enrolled in a scholarship, and they make it very apparent in the film, to NASA. So she has a NASA scholarship right before she even finds out about this time travel mechanism. So she's been mourning her sister for a long, long time, right? And she gets the opportunity to go back and meet her sister. So she uses this teleportation time travel box, these 2 box lasers that open up a wormhole, and she miraculously appears. Well, here's the kicker. So she's telling her sister, because she finally convinces her sister, because she has this note that is from the future, and she can correspond because there's 2 copies of it in this film. So she proves to this other person too, this other individual, this young man, that this girl is from the future. Well, wouldn't you riddle this? Because there's these murders that go on in this TV or this movie programming here. Well, she knows the dates, the times, and the specific events that lead up to these mass deaths, right? And it was interesting to me, but the Monarch, like, she comes back from the future, which is technically she's not even alive in 2003, but she's technically afterlife, right? A little spin twist, like she's never been existing. Will she exist in 2003? That is not, she can't, right? So she's trying to save her sister. Well, she finds out the times and the date, and she sits and convinces her sister. Well, get this. I took a screenshot of it on the film. I took a snapshot of it because it's a little distorted. Did you know she says to her sister, what if there's anything I could possibly do to prevent something, would you do it? And she goes, what time is it? And the girl's like, yeah, I would do that. And they're like, what time is it? What time is it? So this first, let's just say uneventful, well, no, excuse me, not uneventful, but this horrible incident happens, and she knows that the sister, the older sister, has these friends that get, let's just say they pass away, right? And she knows the time and the date at the mall. Well, she goes, what time is it? And I kid you not, folks, here we go. 8:28. She turns around, looks at the clock on the right beside the bed, and it switches. It takes a millisecond to capture this. It went from 8, it goes 8:27, and then it went to 8:28. So there's the 8:28 imagery. So she knew the time and the date, and this. Just stay with me. It's a what if program. A what if. She knew the time and the date, and she knew. She goes, the mall closes at 9, and then it flashes off, and they take off, proceeding to the mall to try to stop these events from happening with this slasher / let's just say evil person that's going around doing these evil things. So there's the 828. So we have 828 and the manifest. We have 828 in this time cut film. It's like a 2024 brand new spanking time travel film. You got the 1985 Back to the Future. So here's where it gets wild. So moving on here from this time cut, because there's really not much to say. It's a time travel movie, and it's something there's a lot of stuff at the end that reveals a lot of stuff I don't even want to get into. But for the sake of this film, 828, right? What does 828 mean? Right? When you Google it, what does 828 mean? Does anybody know out there in the visual disturbance community? You can do a quick Google search and check this out. This is interesting to me. So interesting. So you just do, what does 828 mean? Remember, I was talking earlier, I don't get into gematria, I don't get into this. I just don't get into it. It doesn't flow with me. It doesn't go well with me. I'm not a numerology person. I like to look at it and reference it, and that's what we're doing here. So I just Googled, what does 828 mean? But did you know, yes, it talks about angelic numbers, energies, all that, okay? But at the very bottom, if you go to show more, did you see right here at the bottom, it says area code. Area code. And we're going to go to this area code. Check this out. So let's check this out real quick. We're going to put in, so this is where it blows and baffles my mind, what we're getting ready to show you. Okay. So I went to Google Earth, and y'all know how I love Google Earth imagery here, visual disturbance. I love to look in and dig and deep dives. So I kid you not, I go up to the search bar, I type in 828, 828, right? And we're going to reference back to that Google, we're going to go back to the Google when I am the 828 meaning. So I typed in 828 on the Google. Well, did you know there's an area code? Did you know there's an area code? And y'all probably seen it. I try not to put too much emphasis on it. I try not to show you all earlier because I'm going to show you visually on the Google Earth. Do you know there's an 828 area code? You know where the 828 is? There's 828, and you're just going to plug it in here in a second. There's one up at the top of northern Kentucky. It's some kind of building. But did you know Asheville, North Carolina? Now, this whole area is 828, okay? So stick with me. This is one of the speculation and all theories, okay? For entertainment purposes only, we're gonna stay here for a moment. So when I found out it was 828, and we gotta watch what we say here on the YouTube platform. Well, when I went back and referenced it, and I said, surely this can't be. Well, if you look in real fine letters here, the area code 828 is located in western North Carolina, okay? And covers the cities such as Asheville, Franklin, Hickory, Murphy, and Waynesville. Well, Everybody, does anybody know what happened there? Them poor folk in North Carolina, my prayers go out to you all. I got to watch what I say here. But did y'all know there was something diabolical with all that going on with Helene, with the hurricane that came several months ago? And it's still catastrophic, right? It's still unbelievable what's going on in that just anything going on with them poor folk out there, right? Well, let's get back to Google Earth, and I'm going to show you what I found. 828. Area code, we go there, we prove it. Okay? You remember when I spoke about earlier in that time cut and she had the blue shirt on? Isn't that interesting that you can get a trash can and there's places right now, and I gotta watch what I say, that are on fire, that the blue cans, the blue tarps, the blue just miraculously does not get hit by the space, let's just say the direct lasers. Okay, let's continue on. 828, right? So for fun, I wanted to go ahead and I was like, let's just type in blue. Let's just see if there's a blue, anything blue. All right. Did you know there's a blue mountain? There's a blue mountain not too far from here. Blue Mountain. Okay. Blue Mountain. There's the Blue Mountain. There's a Blue Mountain Way, Blue Mountain Drive, Blue Mountain Lane. Yes, I know it goes in different states. And there's a Black Mountain. I mean, heck, there's Blue Mountains. There's Black Mountain, Blue Mountain, everything, right? And I thought it was interesting, this whole area. Poor souls in the Appalachians. Poor people. But poor souls that have had to deal with what they've dealt with. My heart and soul, it hurts me to talk about it. I'm not putting down them people or anything. My heart goes out to them. If I could do anything else for them, I would try, but I just can't. But my prayers go out for you. That's all I can do. But I would say, it's really coincidental that the 828, and it's an area code, and then you're probably like, well, Brian, get to the point. What are you trying to say? Is there some type of like weirdness going on? Absolutely. So if you type in 828, it actually hits all those areas that we talked about. So, well, what's the point then? Well, this is a daily what if. So check this out. So this is where it gets me. So you remember when we talked about the 828, right? This one just got me. I'm going to go there. Does anybody know what happened and what they found underneath that land? I'm going to try to watch what I say with my lips. I'm just going to kind of show you and kind of like, I guess, let's just say, push it along without having to say much during the next few minutes. Check this out. As you can see on the screen here, the lithium carbonate, an example of lithium salt, right? Well, lithium, riddle that one. Where do they have abundance of that yet? Where's that at? Just riddle that. We just talked about it. I got to wordplay it and do a little encrypted language. Lithium. Look at the chemical compound and what it looks like when you look at it. Look at that. Look at it. The Li plus. Look at that. Lithium. Okay. All right. This is where it gets real fun. This is where it gets interesting. Now you're probably thinking, man, Brian, you're going to be reaching here in a second. Well, remember, on the What Ifs program, I can give you my take and it's a thought-provoking, gear-turning broadcast. The direction I'm going with this, check this out. So you invert it. You turn the flux capacitor upside down. Boom. I'm sorry. I got to watch what I say here. We might just need to pause here and focus on this for just a few moments. 88 miles an hour. Displacement. You get displaced. You get displaced in time, right? With old Marty McFly, but then these poor people get displaced, right? Gotta watch what I say, but how ironic. And could it be coincidental that they're both the imagery when you invert the flux capacitor? Why does it look like the lithium on a chemical compound on a table? Come on now, folks. Come on now. What's going on with this? This one blew my mind. This is one of the jaw-dropping moments on the Daily What Ifs. So you mean to tell me that location I just got done showing you all with the 828 has abundance of this underneath the land, and The area code is 828. And I was like, and they have the lithium at their disposal that's in the caverns underneath the ground. Underground facilities, whatever you want to call it, whatever they found, there's abundance of it. Okay? So here's another spinoff. Did you know that I'm going to watch what I say. Did you know that the L word here is in small increments incorporated in something that you could consume? Do you all know that? That's what's even blowing my mind, and I can't even talk about it here on this platform. But there's that 88, right? Boom. And if, I mean, mind-boggling to as far as, you know, reaching as possible, I don't think this is a coincidence. What do you guys think? Comment below in the description, because this one was so compelling and I wanted to throw in the daily what ifs. So we have location, area code, them poor people. I can't emphasize it enough that they got displaced. It's horrible. My heart genuinely, I truly wish I could do something more. My soul hurts from this, from the stuff that's happened in North Carolina. But you all, let me know what you think about this, because it really got me. It totally got me. It really did. It totally got me on this one. So, thank God that the stream is still staying on. Thank God for that. Thank God, right? So let's go back. Let's go back and reference some of the stuff that we talked about here. We have Marty McFly, flux capacitor, 88 miles an hour. We got the flux capacitor looking like an inverted lithium particle, right? Compound. I mean, come on. And manifest, and the planes coming out of the sky right now. Does anybody know that there's planes falling right now? There's all kinds of weird insanity going on in our realm. All kinds of disruptions with communication. I can't even get in to have a live feed, right? Internet's going down. We got fire on one side. We got ice on the other when it comes to America right now. Manifesting things, all this stuff that's going on in our, let's just say, realm of 2025. It's been kind of strange last, it's 2 weeks in, pretty much, almost 2 weeks in, and it's been a little bit very, let's just say, it's not been uneventful. It's been very eventful. 828 Duality, Monarch, the time travel mechanism. Is it something to do with the lithium, that they're going to do something nefarious in the near future? Oh my goodness, I have no clue. But it does make my hair stand up when I find information like this that is so compelling. I could not pass it up and talk about the daily what if. And let's get to the daily what if. What if visual disturbance is onto something? And what if there is something corresponding with the nefarious, evil, the Pinocchio tentacles, people that control the strings? What if they've done something on a molecular structure, chemical compound, and they need abundance of it? What if there's something evil, something going on? What if, right? And I could not believe the 88. I could not believe this, just to invert and switch the things. What do you guys think? On the daily what if program here on Visual Disturbance. This one got me for sure, folks. This one got me for sure. Let's go back real quick before I conclude our program here. So you have this 828, right? 828 everywhere. All right. Here we are in North Carolina. It's everywhere, right? I wanted to point out that there was an 828 that was over here. And it was interesting because it's a business and it's called U-Turn. And I thought, well, that's kind of ironic. And it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's in a little small city up here close to Cincinnati, but it's on the Kentucky state line. But when you get out here, this whole area did not do too good when it comes to what happened and what was done in the last few months. And like I always say here, a little spray make you go cray. And I feel like after presenting this material, I feel like on the daily what ifs that I might be, it's a little loopy but there's highly compelling information here that I just could not help but to show. And I hope you all enjoyed it, because I sure did. And I'm very, very super thankful that everybody was part of this program and the programming that took me for a little bit to pop off the daily What Is programming in time. It's been a super, super blast for be able to present this. I was going to go a little bit longer, but I don't want to interfere because guess what, everybody? We're going to have a program coming up here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the DOC with Brother David. I don't want to interfere with that. That's why I was so like in the zone to get back on the horse here and present this material since the powers that be shut me off earlier. What I come to the conclusion is, what do you guys think about the 828? Is there some type of occult meaning? Is there some kind of esoteric symbolism? Is there something here that is just so beyond my pay grade that I can't articulate and understand? I think I touched base on it the best I could to interpret it in a little bit of encrypted language. And why is all these TV shows and Hollywood narratives being presented in a way with this 828? Explain that to me. 88, 828. What is it? There's more. There's more. I didn't touch the base. There's more TV shows and movies that incorporate the 828. And I just thought it was wild to me. So what do you guys think about the lithium? Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, share this thing out on Visual Disturbance because we really, really appreciate it here. And maybe we're all just a bunch of crazy people, right? But this stuff is so bizarre that I don't even know how far. I'm gonna keep digging. How about that? We'll do another daily what ifs. I'll do a little bit more connecting the dots and kind of chiming in and speaking about this specific topic again. But man, I don't know. I'm gonna give a big shout out to DGS MMA. I know who you are, man. I hope you're doing well out there in the western parts of the states. How do you come up with this, Brian? And he's got a mind-boggling emoji. You wouldn't believe it. I kid you not. I stumbled upon it. I said, hey, I got to put this in my mind. And I said, man, they're just got to put the dots together, pull all this in. I got to, articulate it. And boom, I said, man, surely goodness, don't do it, Google Earth. Don't do it to me. Because I wanted to say, when I first went into it, the initial response, I said, 828, don't let it be there. Don't even type of coordinates in. Don't type north, east, west, south. I was like, don't you dare Google Earth. And 828, man, it's popped up. And sure enough, boom. And then I was like, you can't make this stuff up because, what does 828 mean? And then Google's telling you, and then it says the area code with the people that had the horrific disaster happen. How does this happen? But in 2025, maybe everything's coming off the rails, but it just seems so strange. But I really do. I hope y'all enjoyed it. It was a very good. I just enjoyed it so much. I was a little tongue-tied because I got a little rattled from earlier because the feed got cut off. But it's so successful. Here we are 30-something minutes in, and I'm so thankful that I've been able to present this today. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope you're blessed by it. I really do. I hope it's something intriguing. I hope it made sense because I had to pull it all back together after everything just like crashed. But that's how we roll. Endure to the end, man. Endure to the end. That's how I see it. And just try to do the best I can here at the visual disturbance side of things. But I'll take one question. I'll take two questions and put them in capitalized letters. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything here because I like engaging with you guys. Johnny Kirk. They're trying to bring back the Tartarians, the Tartars, the Tartaria. You know what's so interesting about that, Johnny? Is the stuff they can't hide it no more. It's under the ground, right? But they're you can let's just have fun here. We'll do this for another daily what ifs. Go look at where the SMART cities are being, projected and modeled after, articulated on the map of America. Go look, and that's where the abundance is. Okay? Just like the stuff we spoke about here today, that's where the abundance is of the material that they need. That's just it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. It'll blow your mind for sure. But yeah, I don't get let me clarify because there's some people in the chat. I don't associate with cultic numbers. I don't get into like, oh yeah, let's praise this gematria information. I don't praise it in that shape or form. I do programs like this, like I said, on a daily what ifs, a thought-provoking, gear-turning conversation, and say, what can I find? Is there anything to speculate on? Is there anything to put in a theory? And yes, I put my spin on it, but I can tell you right now, the stuff I showed you, even though I put a fun, humorous take on it, you can freely go find that stuff out. There's, you can fact check it all. All you can do is go check out Google Earth. I use Google Earth Pro. Remember that. I use Google Earth Pro. A lot of people question that, and they're always like, hey, what do you use? I use Google Earth Pro. So with that being said, I won't go too long and too winded. I just want to tell you all, thank you so much for being back on with me after that hiccup with the Internet of Things. It was so kind of heartbreaking, but we get back on the saddle and endure to the end, like I said earlier. And I think Hippie Hebrew, was saying round 2 fight. Yes, we're in the fight here, and I appreciate that. At the beginning, it was hilarious on the chat, so I just fed off of it. And I just want to thank you all so very much, because keep your head on a swivel, like I always say, the daily what ifs, because we'll be back. I'm gonna try my best to do one daily. It's so hard to do one every day, but I'm gonna try to set the bar high and continue doing these daily what ifs. So until then, programming in time on this one. This one's in the chamber for success. I successfully was able to pull it off after all the chaos. But thank you all for being here with me, and thank you for being part of the Visual Disturbance community. Share this thing out. I appreciate it, all you all, and all your time. I really do. Everything y'all do, it just to share this thing out and hit the like button helps with the algorithm. It helps us out here at the Visual Disturbance, and you wouldn't believe that it helps out with the other affiliated channels too, because we're all working in together, unison, and trying to make this thing happen, and really just get the truth out there when it comes to biblical information. And we take deep dives in all kinds of different angles, but we want to just shine a light in this crazy world that we're living in. So anyways, 2025 is starting off with a bang, and don't go 88 miles an hour. Don't get a flux capacitor. Do not go 828 on anybody. But I'll see you on the next one, folks. Everybody have a blessed day. And Hippie Hebrew Homestead got me on the back end. I almost clicked the button. Will you do any more Bermuda Triangle content? Please, you've been getting after me for like 2 years, haven't you? You've been getting after me for like 2 years on that. And I think I might have to do that again. I think I might have to do it again. I believe I will. But hopefully this feed, because there's people in the chat saying it was censored. Hopefully this program goes out, and I cannot do it without your all's help. If you all share this out abundantly, then we can break through that algorithm and share this thing out. I really would appreciate it, because some of the content on here might be very sensitive to the algorithm, and with your all's help getting it out there in the Visual Disturbance world, I would really, really, really super appreciate it. So with that being said, it's enough of me rambling on here with the daily what ifs, but programming in time is behind us here. We just wait for the next one, daily what ifs. Got another one in the chamber coming up, and you would not believe what I just found on it too. It's going to incorporate Google Earth imagery also. But until next time, Visual Disturbance, I'm out of here. Like I say all the time, a little spray, make you go cray. Keep your head on a swivel. Everybody be good. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy the snowy, melting ice apocalypse, and be of good cheer, because it's coming again here at the end of January. So with that being said, until next time, Visual Disturbance, I'm out of here.
Got one that can see.